Hey, this is Kerry. I'm one of your hosts of Leaving the Party, and I'm your best friend from the future. That's right. You should move away from the coast. It's bad news about the icebergs. I don't know. I just wanted to come on and say a couple quick things before the show gets started. I really have to use the toilet, so I'll make this quick. The first thing is that this episode contains a lengthy discussion about anti Semitism in this game. I just wanted to put that out there up front in case that's going to sort of harsh your vibe. Felvidek had some stuff that we didn't anticipate and we thought was kind of lame, but we decided to continue playing the game and do the episode anyway because there's a lot of other interesting stuff going on here. And obviously we come down as pretty critical of this, but I feel like it's worth disclaiming here, I suppose. Obviously we do not fuck with that. The other thing I was hoping to mention is that we got some feedback for our last episode that it was sort of hard to track down what game we were going to be playing next since it was only mentioned at the very end of the episode. So I just wanted to bring it up here. The next game we're going to be playing is Chained Echoes, a 2022 JRPG inspired JRPG. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really neat. That one's going to be a fun one. The most important reason I bring it up, though, is because I wanted to open up the show to some questions for people who want to ask us about this sort of thing. So, if you're a listener of Leaving the Party, and you goddamn better be, and you're curious about our thoughts or our zany takes about Chained Echoes, please feel free to send your questions to leavingthepartypod@gmail.com. I guess if you want, you can also contact me on social media or whatever, if you really want to, but whatever. I'm hoping to have a couple questions to answer at the end of the show, so feel free to do that. Once again, that's leavingthepartypod@gmail.com. Okay, I really gotta pee, so I'm gonna go. Enjoy the episode.
I did just bump my arm on the wall, so I'm gonna have to try to not do that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you have a lot of space in there.
No, it's all right. I'm in a chair, man. I'm living good.
You got a chair. You're in the closet. What else does a guy need?
Closet. I do have. So the grand total of things I have in my closet.
Go on.
Yeah. So I got
one Tess,
two a chair that I'm sitting in. I have like 100 coat hangers that it's really tough to take off because there's not enough clearance. Empty coat hangers, let it be known, except for one which has my towel on it to insulate the sound. We got the microphone. Sure. We got a cup of tea.
Okay. Oh, love that. Came ready with the tea this time.
Then we have like 10 Nintendo Switch games sitting on the shelf here. Good life in here. It's a good life in here.
How much rent do you pay for the closet? Your one bedroom.
Yeah, studio
just
apartment
a 1 by
in Brooklyn.
1
Are you kidding? $2,100.
Hello, every pony, and welcome to Leaving the Party, a chill podcast about role-playing games. My name is Kerry.
My name is Tess. I didn't realize you were going to do every pony again. Really caught me off guard.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
I was sipping my tea midway through.
I decided this time we're doing every pony. And today we are talking about Felvidek, a game about alcoholic knights in 15th century Eastern Europe. Fuck! Damn it.
Do you not know this word? Have you not heard this word?
I don't know.
It's called Europe. I don't know.
By Jozef, Pavelka, and Vlado Ganaj. As always, for more writing and podcasts, mostly about role-playing games, you can go to leavingtheparty.blog.
I know. Like, you read a word a bunch of times, and like sometimes you haven't said it out loud, or you haven't. It just means that you're really smart. Actually, it means that you read a lot of books.
I've never heard anyone say Europe out loud.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Tess, how are we?
I'm good. I'm chilling.
How have we been since we've last done this?
I'm good. I played a lot of video games. During the time we played Felvidek, I played all of Jedi Fallen Order, a game that I have basically nothing to say about.
Sure.
Which is always good podcast content. It's a Star Wars game. If you're looking for a game that is Star Wars, check out Jedi Fallen Order.
It does appear to be Star Wars for me.
It really is. Now. It's Star Wars all the way through.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lightsaber. I'm seeing a guy.
Yeah.
That looks like Star Wars to me.
You're hitting the nail on the head.
I've played the first maybe hour of Jedi Fallen Order, and I got extremely bored.
Well, do you know what Star Wars is?
No, I don't know.
I think if you just find out what Star Wars is,
maybe I should go back.
That's a little ungenerous. I enjoyed it. I'm poking fun a little bit. I enjoyed it. It's fun. It is a little bit Dark Souls for babies, like parentheses positive. I think that's like basically a good thing. There's some fun acting in it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's cool. I do love Star Wars. I am like kind of low key.
Yeah, you are an extended universe enjoyer. Yeah,
I am a little bit of a Star Wars sicko.
I do think it's a lot. I think if you were like a Star Wars sicko in like 2008, that's kind of embarrassing to be like, oh, I've read all of the extended universe books. But now that Star Wars has like really hit like rock bottom, like if you're like an extended universe head, that's kind of sick actually.
I wouldn't say that I've read all of the books, but I did read a little. I read the first book of the like Emperor Thrawn trilogy. Okay. Which was that was a pretty cool situation. The
Kerry who lives in my head has read all of the books.
I can continue to exist in your head that way if you'd like.
Great, thank you.
I'll just pop myself right back in there.
I'll ask her about Emperor Thrawn.
Yeah, well, he's actually an admiral, but you know how it goes.
Yeah.
In the past couple of weeks, can I tell you about a little journey that I went on before we get into Felvidek? I went to my local game store with my lovely girlfriend Yvonne, and while we were there, I forget exactly what we were going for. I think she just wanted to stop in. But while we were there, I saw a little handheld device that I was very interested in getting called a Retroid Pocket 2.
Nice.
2 Plus, maybe. I'm not sure. But it was a Retroid Pocket 2.
Yeah.
And I saw this, and I was like, wow, that looks awesome. A little device that you can play video games on. Who among us wouldn't want such a thing? For backstory, I'm going to hold this up right now. I have a Mii. It's it's like a very little, it's also a little device.
It's
like an emulator
type of thing. I have an Ambernick. I don't know what it's called, but it's a little device like that.
This is the Mii Mini. It's like a little emulator game or emulator device. And this was given to me as a gift by my girlfriend. And the best part about getting something like this as a gift is that your girlfriend sets it up for you and then doesn't tell you that it was actually extremely complicated.
Yeah.
So I got this Retroid Pocket thing and I brought it home and I spent maybe an actual like 10 to 12 hours trying to like, because it was all fucked up. It was like missing software and stuff like that because I got it secondhand at a game store. So I was Googling Reddit. And I was trying to like find how to set this up. And I was like installing drivers and shit. And it works in a way that is really laggy right now.
Yeah.
And so that was like a 10-hour sort of side quest that I went on in between last episode and this episode. And I was hoping like, oh, I'm going to play like Final Fantasy Tactics on this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to play like probably other Final Fantasy games on this thing. It's going to be awesome. But it has not come to fruition yet. So
no, they hate you and want to see you suffer. This is my beef with, because I have one of these and I'm like, technically minded enough that like, I think it was not a big obstacle, but for me, but also like, I think it's insane to like create a product like this that is like such nostalgia bait. Like it's such like perfect little like, oh, I want to play all the Game Boy Advance games I had as a kid, or Game Boy Advance games I didn't have as a kid, more accurately, and then make it so impossible to use. Like, it's really frustrating that like they are across the board. All of these companies are releasing products, like without exception, are releasing products that like for the layman are functionally unusable. And even when you do like get them all set up properly, there are all sorts of problems that they have not solved. Like there are very, very few of them that have like dedicated save buttons and dedicated home buttons. These are like all like most often they are key combinations that like you have to read in the manual and then remember to do, that are like not marked on the device physically. So if you forget what they are, or God forbid you reset them to something else, good luck.
Or God forbid you get a secondhand Retroid Pocket 2 or whatever, and you factory reset it because it has a bunch of bullshit on it and it doesn't really work the way that it is, and then you have to try and reinstall everything. And reinstall RetroArch and then try to get RetroArch to work. It's fine. I think, okay, so part of it is user error. I can't lie.
I think you're right, but I think you're right that it is user error, but I don't think it's your fault that user error was on the table in the first place. I'm just saying Nintendo doesn't have this problem.
Well, that's true.
You could just, they just need to be a better company, basically.
Yeah, they should maybe try harder. I don't want to be too uncharitable towards the thing, because I'm sure plenty of people have had great experiences with it, especially people who didn't get it secondhand.
Yeah, you're right. And all of those people are nerds.
That's nerds definitely true. That's
without
definitely
exception.
For sure true.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm just maybe too much of a jock. So I don't know.
I am always saying that about you.
People say that about me a lot.
Every time you put down Final Fantasy X, you go out and play. What's the game that they play in Final Fantasy X?
Blitzball.
Yeah, you're going out and playing. You're going out and playing
swimming
Blitzball.
You could catch me swimming in the big floating orb. I'm swimming around in the orb. I'm kicking the ball. Yeah. I'm doing the eject kick.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I don't know what that means, but totally.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's his dad.
So have you managed to play a game on your Retroid Pocket?
I have managed to play Pokemon Leaf Green. That is basically the only game that I have gotten to work in a way that is not like super fucked up.
Well, buddy, that's the only game that's worth playing.
It is currently a Pokemon Leaf Green machine. In the meantime, I've gone back to using this Miu, which is lovely. Thank you to my girlfriend for being a bigger nerd than me.
She is a big nerd. She
definitely is. What were you?
I just also wanted to shout out. I also been playing a couple other games. I played Kaizen: A Factory Story. Which is a Zachtronics game, which is games for freaks and nerds.
I don't know what this is.
They're like programming games. Kaizen: A Factory Story is the latest one. Sort of not made by them, sort of made by a different company. It's unclear to me exactly what happened, but it's like this puzzle game where you put together an assembly line, essentially, of machines to put together a toy or a robot. Or
is this similar to like a Factorio situation?
It's kind of Factorio like. It's a little less like watch number go up and a more like solve the puzzle in a discrete way. But it was really fun. I've also been playing a lot of Picross. I've been playing Home Squeak Home. Is that what it's called?
Can I tell you something about myself?
Yeah,
that
please.
I have never told anyone before.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that how it's pronounced, Picross? Or is it Picross?
I've heard it pronounced Picross and Picross.
I don't know what Picross is. I've heard so many people be like, "Oh, Picross is like a puzzle game." I'm like, "Yeah, totally," and I don't. I couldn't pick it out of a criminal lineup.
It's similar in concept to Sudoku. It's that same kind of vibe of like you're putting numbers on a grid to solve a puzzle. It's called Squeakross Home Squeak Home, and it's rat themed. Or mouse
Just like
themed.
us.
Yeah, true. Another rat game.
Oh, this is adorable.
Yeah, it's like the concept of the game is for every Picross puzzle that you solve, you unlock a piece of furniture or a piece of clothing, and then you have a pet rat, and you decorate your rat's home in person with furniture and clothing, and then you get to watch your rat walk around the home that you decorated.
Oh, this looks lovely.
Yeah, Picross is like it's a lot like Sudoku. I think it's more fun because it's like it's visual. You're like making a little picture.
I'm gonna send you a really lovely picture I just found. I don't know if this is from. I think this is from Squeak Ross. It's just a picture of a little mouse.
I haven't
and
seen
even
this
littler
one.
mouse next to him. And it says a sensible boy mouse.
This is awesome. I don't recognize this from the game, but I would love to know. I would love to know how to acquire this image.
That's it's something that came up about 6 or 7 rows down in
Nice.
Google image search for Squeak Ross for me. So
yeah. So that's what's been going on with me. I just wanted to shout out Kaizen Factory Story and also Squeak Ross Home Squeak Home.
That's so lovely.
Yeah.
I've been deep in an RPG hole.
Yeah. You're always playing those damn things.
I know, it's a real.
Why don't you marry him?
Yeah, it's a real situation. Started playing Octopath. Fuck, I just dropped shit. Sorry.
Octopath. Fuck. That's a crazy new one.
It's the new one they just came out with. It's
wow.
Oh, that'd be so good. Like a never mind. Like a sex. It doesn't matter.
All 8 of them going at it.
All 8 of them. It's a big party.
Polyamory simulator.
But yeah, we're technically here to talk about Felvidek.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Felvidek, Tessica?
I have mixed feelings about it. There are aspects of this game that I think are really excellent and admirable. And I think are super original. I think like one way to think about like the impact a game or any piece of art has on you is like, how will I incorporate this into like thinking about other pieces of art in the future, and like how will I compare and contrast this to other things? There are parts of this that I think are really novel, and I will be thinking about for a long time. There are other parts of this that I think do not succeed at what they're trying to do. I think get a little lost in the weeds. There's one part in particular that I think is a real failure in terms of his characters and its messaging that we'll talk about. But I have mixed feelings. I would. There is a type of person to whom I would recommend this game, but it would not be everybody. What do you think?
This is definitely. I came away from this game with a lot more mixed feelings than I did with our previous game.
Not enough dang transgenders in it.
That's for sure. I don't think I'm counting on my fingers here. I don't see a single one.
Yeah.
It's
as far as
a
we
huge
know.
misstep. As far as
who knows
that we know of.
That we know of.
Yeah.
When we're done with them, we'll try to convert.
We'll reassess with
we'll reassess
with our friend
months.
Adam.
Yeah.
I walked away pretty mixed with this game. I had a pretty rough introduction to it. I played like the first 3 hours of this game, like all in one sitting, and by the end of it I was like, I'm not really getting anything out of this, and I wasn't even sure that I wanted to like come back to it. And we did come back to it. Obviously I ended up finishing it, and by the end of it, I really was like starting to turn around on it, because I feel like the sort of mechanical pull of the game was starting to get me, at least a little bit. But it takes a long ass time to get there, and so I went on kind of a journey with it. It's a strange little game about a alcoholic knight and evil cult, and you go on lots of adventures.
Yeah. Do you want to hit me with like, I would say between 89 and 91 seconds of like... I could
probably do somewhere around there.
Yeah, what your sort of experience was.
I can give you a summary. I can give you a summary for our sort of monthly segment on this podcast.
Yeah, we're doing segments.
We're doing segments, by the way.
And this
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Play the musical accompaniment. It would be mad funny to get a bell, like a real loud ass bell. Ding ding ding.
I used to when I was in this is so off topic. When I was in high school, I used to do like cross country skiing, and cowbells were really big there, and people would like have cowbells and like ring them like when we went past. And everyone always was what they would be like, and you probably have heard this phrase, but they said like more cowbell. Right?
I have heard this phrase.
And before. I had never, and I was like, wow, these people love cowbells. And everyone was saying it. People were saying needs more cowbell. And I was like, dang, all of these viewers are on the same page in terms of like,
everybody thinks
they love the cowbells. And I was like,
that's crazy.
I don't know where this is coming from. But they
all
have a shared
independently
passion.
came to this solution.
Yeah, they were just really enjoying it. And I found out, I would say maybe last year, that this is a sketch from Saturday Night Live, I think.
It is. Anyway, ding ding ding. 90-second summary. I can go ahead and hit that. Here, let me pull up my timer.
Keep you honest.
Yeah, keep me real. Let's keep it real for this 90-second summary.
Let's keep it real on leavingtheparty.blog/podcast.
That's the plan. I still haven't made the page, but it'll happen. leavingtheparty.blog/podcast. A thing that will exist by the end of this week.
Yeah.
Okay. 90 seconds. Here we go.
Great.
In 15th century Slovakia, an alcoholic knight whose name is Pavol, who recently had his wife leave him. His wife's name is Paula, and he wakes up and sees that a castle on the opposite side of the field is aflame. And he goes, uh-oh. And he he runs out there and discover with Matej, a clergyman, and eventually is joined by other people such as Jozef and Ida and some other chumps. And he discovers a big conspiracy of a cult, of a Zoroastrian cult that is trying to take over this small region of Felvidek. And they're saying that they're going to kick the Hussites out. But anyway, it's really funny and weird. They go on big adventures to find what is going on with the cult and why the castle was on fire and what is going on with the Turks. And basically they save the day.
Yeah.
The end.
That's awesome.
That's pretty much it. I'm saying the end. Now it's the end. How is that?
There you go. That's perfect. You nailed it. 90 seconds.
That's pretty much everything.
That's everything that happens.
It's a dark comedy game. There's a really fun electric guitar soundtrack.
That's true.
And it's a very sort of grimy visual style.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurtles back and forth between like the sort of 15th century prose versus like a sort of obscene humor about the griminess and grossness of the world.
I'm trying to think of like anything else I would put in my 90-second summary, but I think you nailed it.
It's pretty much everything, right?
That's pretty much what happens.
It's extremely, I mean, that 90-second summary was like not extremely put together and is a little bit reductive, but like that basically is what the game is about. Pavol wakes up and sees a castle's on fire and he investigates it and finds a bunch of stuff about a cult, and stuff ensues from there. But
I think like the thing that is most compelling to me about the game is the kind of historical aspect of it. You don't see a lot of stuff like this that is set in a very specific time and place. Like most often it's like, oh, we're like medieval. Sometimes it's like medieval England, you know?
Or a lot of like medieval fantasy.
Yeah. But this game takes place in 1451 in like, I don't know if there's a specific real town, but it's a town in a specific region of what is now Slovakia.
The region, it's the Felvidek region. I wasn't able to really understand whether the Felvidek region is completely fictional or if it's based on a real Felvidek region or not. But it's historical fictional fantasy. So it's
there are fantastical elements, but like something and Felvidek is like a real place. I think it's a term that is like pretty outdated, but that makes sense. It is now like in eastern Slovakia. There's like real cities that are referenced. So like Košice or Kasau, which is where one of the characters is from, is a real city, and they mention a bunch of real cities throughout that are nearby. I have a little like summary of like what's going on in this time and place. If we wanna do that. I'm asking for your approval.
Yeah, I was waiting with bated breath for you to finish the sentence.
Do I have approval? Do I have approval to do my segment?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. Okay, so my segment is called the Wikipedia Corner. And this is where I read a bunch of Wikipedia pages, and I'm gonna tell you what I learned. It's real book report style. I am not a historian. I am transgender, and as we all know, they're not allowed to be that. So
that's true.
Yeah, they always put their damn agenda in it. That's a joke. There are plenty of autistic transgender people. I'm sure. Lots of them are historians.
Also true.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my little summary of what is going on. The year is 1451, and we are in Felvidek, which is a region in Upper Hungary, modern Slovakia. 12 years before our story starts, the king of Hungary dies. His wife is pregnant when he dies, and so he does get a male heir eventually who inherits the throne, but throughout the last 10 years and throughout our story, the king is a child and so requires a regent. And the Diet of Hungary, which is essentially the parliament, appoints a man named John Hunyadi as the regent. So our regent, the functioning king of Hungary during this story, is John Hunyadi, and he's mentioned a few times. Our main character, Pavol, goes on campaign with him once and fights in the Second Battle of Kosovo 2 years before, maybe 3 years, depending on how you count, before the story takes place, and loses against the Turks. But that's sort of a minor point in Regent John Hunyadi's regentship. There are a bunch of problems in Hungary that he has to deal with. But the biggest one on everyone's mind is the Ottomans. And the Ottomans have been expanding their empire for the last 100 years or so, fighting mostly in the Balkans and modern-day Turkey. There have been a bunch of crusades against the Ottomans, trying to stop them from expanding into Christendom, but essentially they have been failing, and the Ottomans have been expanding. And 2 years after the story takes place, just so we know kind of what the stakes are, the Ottomans will capture Constantinople and cement their power as like a great power. And so on everyone's mind is that the Ottomans are an existential threat to the people. That is how it's perceived. It's very scary. Everyone in Christendom is trying to figure out how to stop the Ottomans from expanding. So John Hunyadi is a veteran of a bunch of these crusades, including the one that our main character went on. He's well liked. Everyone likes him, and that's why he's made regent. But there are a few regions of Hungary that are a little out of control. He does not have completely consolidated power. Everyone's jostling. And one of the people who is a bit of an upstart is our captain of this region of Felvidek. And his name is Jiskra. So he is technically below Hunyadi, but there's a lot going on, so it's tough. Jiskra is a mercenary from a noble family. This is a real person. These are all real people.
Yes.
And he commands
Except
a group.
for Pavol.
Pavol is not a real person, as far as I know.
I'm sure there was a guy named Pavol.
There's probably at least one. Commands a group called the Brotherhood, And he and the Brotherhood and the mercenaries are all Czechs. They're from Bohemia. And this means that they are Hussites or Hussites. So what are the Hussites? They're going to talk about them a lot. This is another kind of minor crisis that's going on in the region. There's a man whose name was Jan Hus in Bohemia, in Prague, who 40 or 50 years ago began preaching against the Catholic Church, sort of a proto-Reformation mindset and ideas. The specifics of this, of what he was talking about, are like kind of above my head in that like way that they sound very nitpicky and unimportant to me, but in medieval Europe, probably a really big deal. So I'm not going to like go into it. But safe to say, the Roman Catholic Church did not like him, and they excommunicated him, and then they burned him at the stake. And people in Bohemia were not happy about this. The Czechs were not happy about this. And so the followers of Jan Hus, called the Hussites, rose up and started fighting against the Catholic Church, against the crusades of other countries that were organized in order to put them down. And essentially they won those wars. They became a little more moderate in the process, but the Hussites and the Czechs and the Bohemians are now functionally synonymous. And when they win, they plunder Catholic towns. So Felvidek is being ruled by this Czech noble, Jiskra. Hunyadi tries to rein him in, just kind of can't. He marches an army over, he defeats him in battle, but it kind of does nothing. And so the Hussites and Jiskra's men are running all over Felvidek. They are attacking Catholics, to their minds. But also, if you're a Hussite, you're probably thinking, finally, we are free to live in this Catholic region, and we have the protection of a sympathetic lord, and it's a religious freedom kind of issue. So it depends on who you are. So we have three kind of major players. We have the Czechs, and then we have the Ottomans, who are the Turks or the Muslims. They're called all three things interchangeably. And then we have the people who live in Hungary, which is where we are, the Hungarians and the Slovaks. The Hungarians mostly are the ruling class, but there are also lots of Hungarian peasants. I couldn't find like much on the relationship between the Slovaks and the Hungarians otherwise, so I'm not going to really like speak on it. But they both live in Felvidek, and they both speak their respective languages in the story. So like there are some characters who mostly like say things in Hungarian, and other characters who mostly say things in Slovak. Mm. And there are also characters who like say things in Czech. So you'll like hear them have little interjections, and that's one of the ways where you can sort of like hear the historic influence coming into it. So that's the Wikipedia Corner. Thank you. I think like this, so you aren't going to know any of this going in unless, I mean, you're exactly the kind of person going in. I didn't know any of this. Yeah. I was vaguely aware. I was actually vaguely aware of some of this because I'm a Europa Universalis enjoyer. And Europa Universalis begins in 1444, which is 7 years before this. So it's like extremely contemporary. So like some of these events, like the capture of Constantinople that's about to happen, the rise of the Ottoman Empire, the like last dying, the death throes of the Byzantines, like these are all like big events that are happening. I didn't know about any of this, basically.
Yeah. I didn't even know, or I had to try to also go into my own Wikipedia corner to figure out what war specifically Pavol was a veteran of. My understanding is, like you said, it was part of like the Hungarian-Ottoman Wars. My understanding was that it was like the campaigns of Murad II, but I did not dive as deeply into the history behind this game as you did.
Yeah. I'm one of the world's foremost Wikipedia enjoyers.
You are a real Wikipedia warrior.
If you don't have the Wikipedia app, you've got to check it out. It's a great app.
I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing called Wikipedia. It's crazy.
I'm so serious. You got to get... No, I'm not just talking about reading Wikipedia. I'm talking about the app specifically. Like, yes. The app is really, really good. I don't know who makes the Wikipedia app for iPhone, but it's really excellent. Just super clean. You can like save a lot of pages. It functions really well. It's got a dark mode. Like, Wikipedia app, shout out.
What do you think of the fact that, because we know now that in the 15th century, Slovakia as a nation didn't exist necessarily in the way that it does now. Definitely not in the way that it does now.
Yeah.
And, what we now call Slovakia, or what we now call, honestly, the Slovak Republic, was at that point in time a part of the Kingdom of Hungary. What do you think of the fact that they market this game as like sort of 15th century Slovakia? I think it's interesting because it does show specifically like regionally where it is. But the first time I saw that, I was like, that doesn't make sense, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you're ever trying to like put contemporary understandings of anything into the past, like you're gonna end up with stuff like this where it's like that doesn't really make sense. Like one of the things I was reading about in my research was like the idea of like the emergence of nationalism as an idea, ethnic groups being like composing and ruling their own countries is like something that only came about during the Enlightenment. Like the idea of we are a coherent ethnic group who lives here, and so we should have self-determination, is like not an idea that exists universally across time. And so I think like when you're talking about like, is this Slovakia? Like it is yes and no. You can make a pretty coherent argument both ways, but ultimately it's kind of like, well, like people at the time would not have understood it that way, but also like they would not understand like they would not understand like our conception of like the nation state, but also we do not really fully understand without like tons and tons of thinking and research anyway, like the kind of the feeling of what a country is like as they experienced it.
I mean, the former Hungarian kingdom was my understanding was more of like a common state of like the Slovaks and Croats and Germans and Jews and a bunch of other nations and ethnic groups over a very different geographic space, which is very different from our conceptualization of nationalism.
I've been listening to a podcast you recommended to me called Revolutions, which is and they're talking about the Russian Revolution. And something that they mention a bunch of times that I've been thinking about is this idea that like almost everyone in the Russian Empire in the early 20th century was a peasant. And they did not have any real administrative connection to the like central government. Like almost their entire political life was extremely local, was like the word that the narrator uses is like the central government, the Tsarist government does not penetrate that far down. And this is like kind of an idea that I think you see also in this game of like local politics, local government is pretty radically removed from like a central power. Like they are aware that Hunyadi exists, like we've met him, but like him having kind of an influence on like politics is kind of outside the realm of thought. Like as the Hussites are invading, like the anger is sort of directed around like, well, we have to do something about this. Like this is our problem in our region.
Yeah, they're at their castle.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's like one of many kind of political like differences that I really enjoyed experiencing in this game. Of like this is a different world. It's set in an extremely specific time and place that like I basically can only experience through reading about and maybe a good documentary once in a while, and like having that kind of feeling in a video game that I get to play through, I really enjoyed and valued a lot.
That's definitely something that I think is really valuable about the game, about that it is so interested in this like specific time and place.
Yeah. And committed to it. Like there's so much language in this game, and like everyone has their story. Like they have a language that they speak, and they have a home, and they have a place that they're from and going to, and they have opinions about like other peoples. that's like a bold thing to do,
Yeah.
to go so hard depicting that and being like, yes, this is how it was.
Well, you don't see a lot of video games that are doing straight up historical fiction in this way.
Yeah.
At least I don't. I'm not going to say that there aren't a lot of them, because I'm sure there's tons. But like,
yeah, but I don't know. Like, I could name like Pentiment and like I don't know how many others.
Yeah. And, sometimes when there are games that are doing more historical fiction, I'm thinking of like Kingdom Come Deliverance or whatever, it's made in a way that is a little bit more accessible to a modern viewer / reader / player. Whereas this is like, it really throws you straight into it. It's like they start talking about the Hussites and I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. No, they explain nothing.
Clack, 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 clack.
Yeah, which is awesome. I think that's really cool.
I think it's a very bold choice, but it definitely pays off in a way that is like towards getting you invested into the world. Yeah, probably my favorite parts of this game, which ultimately I do feel pretty complicated about, is the visual the visual style and the sound design. Such really fun choices being made here. Every single character in this game, this was made in RPG Maker, for the record. It does show, but that's fine. Every character in this game has their own character portrait, and they're all made in the same sort of like kind of hideous style that I'm in love with. Yeah. It's so good. It's perfect for the game tonally. Somewhere between like incredibly funny and really depressing. But like very grimy. It's like it appears to be like digital paintings which have been like photo bashed with people's faces and like processed and recolored into pixel art. And there's a lot of character in it, and the soundtrack is all like almost Midwest emo style, like twinkly guitar.
Yeah.
And
it's it's rock music. It's so awesome.
They're straight up rockin'.
Yeah, there's this adherence to like history, and also the way people speak is like trying, like very much aping like Shakespeare, like lots of these and thous kind of thing. But then there's like rock music in the background, and it works really well. It's a great contrast. So
that, and its like commitment to its like historical position and historical positioning, I think, is what is strongest about the game. Yeah, for the beginning, our party, something that mechanically happens a lot with this game is basically the two baseline characters that you're going to have throughout the entire game are Pavol, who is the person that you play as mostly. Pavol is a alcoholic knight. He is the person that we see in the very beginning watching the castle burn through his window.
That happens in a couple of like 3D animated cutscenes.
Oh,
that are like super low poly, and these cutscenes are beautiful. I love them so much. Yeah. I think they're like astonishing pieces of animation. They have this like, because the world generally is animated in 2 dimensions. It's like classic RPG, but when they cut to these cutscenes, it's like super like PS1, but with the same kind of like texturing and an illustrative style. It feels like, oh wow, it gives that same feeling of like when you're playing a Final Fantasy and then it cuts to a cutscene and like the kind of visual fidelity gets upgraded. But it's like sort of like PS1 style where it's like, oh my god, there's 3D in this game.
Yeah, it
looks great. It looks so good.
It opens with Pavol sitting alone in his room in the castle, and he's being an alcoholic. He's moping and he's drinking. And there's like a kind of emo, like rhythmic electric guitar that's playing all bittersweet and twinkly in the background. And he pushes over his wine bottle and he looks like bored and miserable. And in that moment out the window, we watch the northern castle go up in flames. And it's just such a great introduction to the game. It's so simple. I was lurking through the creator Jozef Pavelka's Twitter for a while. And I don't have Twitter, so it was just showing me all of his most popular posts, which was mostly like Felvidek promotional stuff. And he said that this is one of his favorite things he made for Felvidek. This like 3D cutscene of Pavol just looking mopey in his room before the castle catches on fire. And I feel like I can see that in it. You know what I mean? I feel like there are times where you make something because you have one really strong image in your head that you think is like beautiful and truthful and funny and weird. and strange.
Yeah.
And you just have to make a thing where that image can exist, and everything else works out outward from there. And I can really see something like that happening with Felvidek, which is not a criticism at all. I think the love that goes into something like this moment is so real, and I can see that happening with me. With like certain stuff that I want to work on. It's like you have this one image, and definitely the most stunning thing about it is the imagery and aesthetics. And I do think that this is mostly an aesthetic project.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's also like such a good little like narrative hook. Like it's like this explosion happens, there's a big boom, and it's like, okay, this guy who is like trash, the first thing you go outside and you meet the Lord, and like the first thing he says to you is like, you're drunk, get your wits about you. But also he's like very determined to investigate it. And it's like, oh, this says a lot about Pavol as a character, is that like he's fucked up, he's sad, but also like something like dramatic and terrible has happened, and he's like, I'm the knight, I need to like go out and do something about it.
He's a damn knight, that's for sure.
He's a goddamn knight.
I mean, that's the whole reason that they have Matej go along with you, right? Yeah. Matej is your other party member who will be with you for the majority of the game. And Matej is one of the reasons that the lord of the castle, Jozef, has Matej go along with you, is because Pavol is a drunk, and they're like, we're going to keep Matej around you to keep you honest. And Matej is like a clergyman, and they have a fun little banter between the two of them.
This is something that struck me right at the beginning, is like they like at the end of their little encounter, which is like 2 minutes into the game, like Pavol says like, praise be to Jesus Christ, quote. And like it was really kind of shocking to me to like see that in a game, because usually what you find in like a fantasy game is it'll be like, praise be to and then like fantasy name that they make up, and it's like, oh, you're doing Christianity. But I think it was like it was refreshing to
the
be
Holy
like,
the maiden,
like they're straight up like, no, we are talking about Catholicism, like we're doing it 1-to-1. I found it really refreshing.
Yeah, Catholicism is going to come up a lot.
Yeah. These bitches are Catholic.
For sure. And the thing that they find in the castle, which is also going to come up a lot, is they find like a basin with a boiling liquid in it. And they're boiling what they will later find out is kawa beans, which is basically coffee.
It's Arabic for coffee.
It's Arabic coffee, yeah. And also the cult.
There's like a couple of things. Yeah.
Also the cult.
We encounter the cult. They
discover coffee. And a cult.
Yeah, Matej. This is so funny because I pronounce him Matej when I was playing this game. I don't know how the actual name is pronounced.
Oh, it might be that. I have no idea.
No clue.
This is a Europe situation for me. I've never heard anyone say it out loud.
This is a Europe situation for sure. He's when you meet him, he's like he's not happy to go with you. Like he doesn't want to go with you, and then he storms off to meet the Lord, and then he comes back, and he says, "What is God's to God, and the Lord's to the Lord." And he's like full of, everyone kind of is full of these like little kind of quips in this game that are both like old sounding, like they have the antique prosody, but they also like very much say something about the world and like what the character thinks. And I think that's like a marvelous piece of writing, to be able to like both keep it in the tone of like this is old, it should feel old, and also like effectively communicate what's being said. And most of the time it lands. Sometimes it's a little kind of tricky to parse, but most of the time I think it really works.
Yeah, definitely. There are times where I've been reading the game or reading the dialogue in the game where I've had to like slow down and be like, I don't fully understand. Much later, you're going to meet a character named the Burgomeister.
Yes.
A Burgomeister is like basically kind of something like a mayor of a village, sort of abstracting it out, but you get the idea. At some point when you find him later, he tells you so much about like his relationship to the cult and what the cult is doing and their relationship to the coffee beans and all sorts of stuff like that, and like coffee distribution in what was it, Ethiopia maybe?
Yeah.
And it was like, I was trying to follow it, but I could tell that while I was reading it, it was sort of like my eyes were glazing over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's definitely a couple situations like that where I'm like, I sort of can tell that I get like 10 screens through a conversation, and then I realize I haven't really understood what's going on.
Yeah, there's some real lore dumping.
Yeah.
I took like extremely extensive notes for this game, and while I'm glad I did that for this game, I would not do it again because it did like I probably put like I think I have like 11 hours in this playthrough, which is like twice the length that it should take one to play through it. Literally just because I was writing everything down. And it kind of felt like I decided to because I wanted to figure out what all of these words meant, and I wanted to like dissect it, which was fun, and I enjoyed doing it. And I have some fun facts that I'm gonna pop in about things that they mention and say, because there's a lot of stuff like that. But also like can really glaze over your eyes sometimes. Yeah. Most of the time it works. I think the music and the history and the visuals is like those kind of three things are all in like great concert with each other. I think they create a really wonderful tone. I want to talk about like kind of my opinions about the narrative, especially towards the end. I wasn't super thrilled with it. Yeah. Do you have opinions about this at this moment?
I have some more thoughts about the visual style. I think what I really was something that really came out with me while I was playing this game is I already mentioned how much I like the visual style, but something that really came out with me as like a theme visually and narratively that I really, really appreciated is about the historical sort of grime that is literally like all over this game. This game is like covered in a thick layer of filth. Very, very early on in the game, you end up while investigating the cult and investigating where Pavel's wife went, because, by the way, Pavel have recently separated from his wife who ran away. She ran away because he's an alcoholic, basically. She gets caught up in the cult. And really early on, while you're like following that trail, you come across a guy in your castle who gets dysentery. And he just is shitting up a storm. You have to get him some biscuits and some other stuff that I forget exactly.
Herbs. You have to get him herbs.
You have to get this guy like biscuits and herbs, and then have him go and talk to Paula for you. So you can like follow from behind, and she's like trying to seduce him and stuff like that. But when you follow where he went, he leaves like a straight up trail of shit throughout the entire, like shit or blood or both.
It's ash. I think Jozef like attaches a little like pouch of ash.
Is that what it is?
So you can follow him. That's what
I fully interpreted,
which is even.
I fully interpreted this as him just like leaving a trail of slime and goo and poop and shit like everywhere he went.
I think it's a packet of ash. It's even more fucked up though because Pavel and Jozef do this. They decide they're going to do this. And then this guy, I forget what his name is,
it doesn't matter.
But he goes and sleeps with Pavel's wife in Pavel's bed. Yes. Like knowing that they're following him, which is, I don't know, kind of a baller dude.
kind of a pimp. Something else that I really like about this trail that he leaves behind, it gets cleaned up all over the castle except for in Pavel's room, because Pavel isn't cleaning his room. And so like throughout the remainder of the game, there's just going to be this trail of like goo and grossness just like kind of circling around his room, which I think is really funny.
That's really funny.
I was basically just going to say that there's a literal grime that is growing on everything in the game, including, and I mean this literally and metaphorically, everybody is talking about shit and blood and dirt, and everyone is shitting and vomiting and drinking and cleaning. And the thing that I think is charming about this is that this is like just sort of what life is. This is like the grime of history, right? You talk to a villager at some point and she says, "When I was young, I thought it was enough to clean the dirty laundry once and be calm. Not that it will get dirty forever." And she's like cleaning her laundry in the river. And
fucking true.
It's so true. And it's just like that is sort of something that stuck out to me about the game throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
It's a game that cares about dysentery and doing the laundry every single day forever and ever until you die.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that accumulates in Pavel's room when nobody cleans, and the drunken knights falling asleep in their armor, and priests hiring mercenaries to die in battle after being caught in a brothel.
Yeah, it's grimy. Like, I think that's another way it sort of, like, does the historical thing is, like, you meet the guy who's shitting in an outhouse, and it's like, this is a part of the castle. We have like, most RPGs are not going to have a dedicated outhouse room. And it's like, no, like, we are aware of, like, what it is like to live in this
They should, though.
They should.
All the other RPGs are slacking.
Yeah, you follow Paula outside, and you meet her with a bunch of cultists, and the cultists attack, and they mention the name of Zervan, the entity that they worship, and everyone is like, okay, that's kind of crazy, and then they all go to bed.
Pretty much.
Problem solved, basically.
This is when the game, this point is when the game started to come together as, like, what it was about, which is it's sort of about this, like, Zervan cult, and trying to oppose this Zervan cult, and how this Zervan cult gains power. Something that stuck out to me when I played this game the first time is that the cultists that you fight, they're, especially early on in the game, a lot of them aren't wearing armor or anything. They were just wearing, like, big purple robes. Those guys are all total pushovers. And some of the townsfolk that you talk to when you go to the village say, like, oh, their children have been consuming these kawa beans and are walking away in the night to join the Zervan cult. And it's pretty explicitly stated later on that Pavol and Matej, the, like, people they've been slaying and fighting are the children of the townsfolk who join the cult, which is just such a really grim detail. Is that these people join the cult pretty explicitly, I think, because the cult says they're going to drive away the Hussites, and they mostly just end up getting killed by Pavel.
There's one scene kind of in particular where you meet this girl's parents, and you get to read her diary, which is about, like, why she's running away and joining the cult. And it is pretty explicitly, like, she wants to drive out the Hussites. And, like, she wants to, like, assert power. I think in this case is, like, she wants to meet a lover as well. But it's like it's a moment of humanizing, like, these are just regular people. Yeah.
I don't think I saw this.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, her name is Anichka, I think.
Anichka. No, I don't think I did this. I don't think I met her.
Her dad is German. I don't think I met her ever.
Oh, really?
I assume I killed her at some point along the way. But I met her parents. Who were very sad.
I see. Okay. That's so sad.
Yeah. I know. It's fucked up.
Oh, man.
I think this is like one of the... It's hard to figure out how I feel about this specifically. Because, like, there's this super high emphasis on religion as, like, a integral part of, like, where you are from and who you are. And then they're, like, joining this cult that is, it's not similar to the Hussites, and, like, it's kind of a doctrinal difference with, like, mainstream Catholicism. Like, this is a wildly different, this is paganism and, like, abandoning, like, Christian, like, all of these people are going to hell in their minds, right? Like, and so I think, like, that, I don't know, it was difficult for me to sort of square that as, like what goes through a person's mind, where it's like, if you are raised Catholic in a Catholic world, in order to abandon, like, this faith, to abandon your family, to drive out the Hussites, like, that is a pretty powerful and extreme thing to do. And I felt we saw a lot of, like, oh, it's terrible that the children are leaving to do this. I don't know, it felt like there was a missing link somewhere. Like, what are they thinking? Like, is it really just, like, this is the only power available to us? Like, I think I would have loved to get a little more inside someone's head that was like, oh, okay, what does it mean? Not just that you are organizing to fight the Hussites, which I think is interesting and good, and, like, a strong kind of like a coherent idea that people would do and rally around and says something. But also, like, the idea of, like, we are no longer Catholics is I don't know if it ever really goes addressed.
No, it doesn't. I mean, not that I've seen. A lot of the there's like we don't talk to a lot of the cultists and get a lot of their perspective, or any of the cultists like perspective really in this.
Yeah.
We talked to, at the very end of the game, I took a screenshot of talking to one of the cultists. He is talking about the sort of cult leader who you're gonna end up fighting at the very end of the game. Spoilers. By the way, spoilers for Felvidek, I suppose. I guess we should have said that earlier.
Spoilers.
But spoilers for Felvidek. Keep that in mind going forward. I'm going to spoil the game. Anyway, you have to fight the cult leader at the end. Surprise, surprise. His name is Merrick. And one of the cultists you meet, like, in the final dungeon, he says, "Save for a handful of loyal cultists, only mutants remain with Merrick. It matters little to them how much horror and misfortune they cause. I don't understand how I could let myself be talked into such crap. Zervan, what nonsense. Who hath ever heard of it? God, death everywhere." And that is, like, pretty much as far as I remember, that is, like, the biggest sort of insight into what a lot of the cultists are thinking, at least like on the baseline, like regular people who are joining the cult, you know.
There's one or two people who say something along the lines of, I think, like, before you do the fight in the town, you meet some people by the river, two cultists by the river, who are, their names are like cultists who has fled, and they say like, "Oh, I thought we were just gonna fight the Hussites. I don't want to like kill villagers." But it does kind of stop there. Like, it feels like maybe this is wrong. Like, maybe I'm reading too much into it. But it just, for a game that is about, like, religion and ethnicity and, like, the, like, politics of, like, where, like conflicts between peoples, to, like, give something so fundamental up just feels like a very big deal. And I would have liked some more insight into, like, what is that doing internally?
I want to know more about how everybody feels about God.
Tell me more about how you feel about God.
Tell me everything about how you feel about God.
Yeah.
What did you think of this game mechanically? Like, to play, to enjoy, as like a turn-based role-playing game?
I felt extremely neutrally about it. There's sometimes I was doing the battles and I was like, this is fun. I like to swing my sword. They do this like first person animation when you swing the sword.
Very cool.
Like every kind of action has a unique like first person animation, which is
I do
awesome.
love it. It's very cool.
Sick. Yeah, it's really, really cool. In terms of like strategic thinking, I found it pretty minimal, which is not a bad thing. Like, I think it's not so frequent that it gets boring. You know, I found myself like there was one or two fights where I had to restart and rethink what I was doing. And then otherwise I was just kind of cruising, just kind of chilling through it. But you are much more into like RPG mechanics,
yes,
battle mechanics than I am. So I was curious about what you.
I do have lots of feelings about it. This is one of the big reasons why I sort of didn't get super into it at the beginning, and why I was starting to have fun with it at the end. Mechanically speaking, there's like not a lot of fun twists or surprises or anything like really interesting going on. There isn't a progression loop. Not really. You don't level up, which is fine. There's lots of games where you don't level up that are still really fun as like a role-playing game. But there's not really a progression loop at all, nor is there progression outside of sometimes getting new equipment, or like there's an item you can get, or items you can get that are like jam and figs or something like that. And eating those, I think, will increase your character's like attack or defense or something like that. But there's, other than that, not a lot of character progression outside of just your equipment. And the actual turn-based combat isn't extremely complex or anything. And like I mentioned, this is kind of the biggest hurdle for me getting into the game. It's just not very, like, there isn't a lot of depth or really intent in the combat, I feel like. It's pretty much bog standard role-playing game stuff, and there's not a whole shitload of options for what you can do. Every character has, like, most characters, I guess I should say, have like one character specific move. For Pavol, he has an attack that also lowers the person he attacks defense, and it does a lot of damage. And Matej can do a blessing, which heals and gives you a passive like regenerating health and raises your max HP. And for a couple other characters later have unique abilities, like Adam, who we'll introduce later. has a war horn that he blows, which lowers the attack and defense of all the opposing party members. And then there's unique abilities that come with your weapons. I forget if it's a glaive or what, but there's like a long like polearm weapon that you can get that allows you to attack all the enemies at once, but it does the really low damage. If you equip a shield, you can shield bash and like stun people. And those are pretty much like all of the options that you will have, generally speaking, throughout the game. Basically, Pavol is a strong offensive attacker, Matej is a support character, but they each basically have one really useful move. Both of these things rely on tools, which is basically your mana, your TP or MP or whatever.
SP.
Your SP sometimes. And you do not have a lot of these.
PP. Also.
PP, that's a good one. That's a great one. PowerPoints, I think.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah.
But you don't have a lot of tools. You'll end up using them all pretty much every encounter. And so after every encounter, the best thing for you to do is to just like run back home to go lay down in your bed or run to a church to fully heal, which also kind of...
Can you heal in your bed?
Yeah, you can. Wait.
I never did that.
You can
I
heal...
only ever healed at the church.
You can heal in the church, or it's not your bed, but you can also go to the tavern and you can rest in one of the rooms for free.
Really?
But that is... You'll have to do that pretty much after most encounters.
Yes.
Which kind of sucks.
It does really feel like you should just restart me at full health and TP every time.
At that point, when it's like... Because I understand how this happens, because in a lot of role-playing games, I'm thinking of like Pokemon, I'm thinking of like Final Fantasies and Dragon Quests out there, your health and mana and stuff isn't going to regenerate at the end of every battle, but it's because you have a big items economy and you have a large dungeon or area that you're trying to get from point A to point B with a series of like random encounters or otherwise, other sorts of encounters in between.
Yeah.
And the test of those areas becomes like whether you can get from point A to point B without having to reset,
Yes.
And
yeah,
so,
the biggest dungeon in this game has a reset point inside it.
Yes.
And also like enemies don't respawn. Yeah. So like the kind of classic RPG dungeon challenge of like, can you get all the way through this? Or do you give up and go home and restart? Like, doesn't really exist.
No, it doesn't.
It's just like
the game seems pretty much designed around the idea that you will have all of your resources at the beginning of every battle, but you isn't really designed around the idea that you will be able to easily get all those resources back, except by running back to the church. So that was one of the big hurdles for me. But also, just like generally speaking, there's just, like I said, not a lot of like interesting decisions that you're making every turn. It means that like the most interesting decision you're making each turn revolves around like which baddie you're targeting. Do you want to focus on one guy or do you want to spread damage out evenly? And usually the answer is just find the most dangerous guy and focus on him early. And it's fine and it's totally functional. And it's thankfully this is not the like main part of the game, because you're only going to be doing fights at like plot moments, basically. There's not random encounters or anything like that.
Yeah, I think like the saving grace for this for me is like there are actually not that many fights in the game and nothing respawns.
Mm-mm.
So it's like you will do a fight once, it'll go pretty quickly. Even if you do lose, it's not a huge deal, and you get to look at like some fun like visuals, and the music is really great. The battle music I love the battle music.
Yes, it's very cool. Yeah, so usually the combat is not very interesting. And I think it's not helped by the fact that for the most part of the game, you're going to just have a 2-person party. And that really doesn't work in its favor because it's limiting. Like, the game has 4 character slots in your party. Only giving you access to 2 of those for most of the game. It's like, I understand why they do that, because the game is really focused on the relationship and banter between Matej and Pavol. But there's, because of that, there's also even less interesting choices to make in big encounters for the most part. One of the most interesting... I
kept sort of expecting to like get characters 3 and 4, and that never really happens.
It doesn't happen until
sometimes you will get intermittent characters who help you out, and then like right at the end of the game, but...
Yeah, and that's part of the point, is that like you'll get some of these like side characters who will join you here and there. That's always really fun. I really like the thief that we should talk about soon, Ida. She's probably my favorite character in the game. Yeah, for the most part, it's just the 2 of them. and that it's just not extremely interesting. Some of the big encounters have you hiring men-at-arms from the Lord and the castle, but they're literally just kind of blank faces that are there to have another person to give you more damage output. So they don't have any interesting abilities, and neither really do you. It really bummed me out and drove me away from like getting super invested into it mechanically, because I think a good turn-based combat system is one that has a lot of interesting choices and puts you in situations that require you to find like creative solutions. The game that, and obviously this is not a fair comparison because this is a totally different game that was developed by a huge studio, but the game that I played before, or that I was playing before I played Felvidek, was Final Fantasy X. And that has probably one of the best turn-based combat systems ever, for this exact reason. You know, anytime it's your turn to put in commands for a character in Final Fantasy X, you have so many interesting choices to consider. They removed a like active time battle system in Final Fantasy X because they want you to spend time considering it. They want you to start your turn as Tidus and say, oh, should I use haste? Should I try to slow down? Should I be buffing my party or tank physical attacks and boost physical damage? Should I delay the enemy attack? Should I swap out to a different character, like Orin to do a physical break or mental break, or Kimari to do something weird, or Riku to spend some resources to end the encounter with her mix ability? You know, there's like all of these interesting decisions that you can do. And like, do I expect this game to have the mechanical depth of Final Fantasy X? Like, no, of course not. But what I do want is like, I want a good foundation for a turn-based combat system. And the nitty-gritty complexity is what's important to me. It's what feels good in a system like this. And the lack of it in Felvidek really shows, which is a bummer, but it's also not entirely what the game is about, so it's fine. But if it's not what the game is about, then it's like, what are we doing spending all this time in the combat system? So that's sort of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I hear that. I agree with basically all of that. I think it is like really like, is this important to you? Like, I don't think it occupies like such a space in the game where it's like attempting something that it is failing at. I think it is more, and tell me if you disagree with this, but I think it is more of a like, is this something that you are hoping for and expecting out of this game going in? Because if that is something that you want, it's going to be disappointing.
Yeah. I don't think it's attempting anything really, really huge. I think the combat system in this game is totally perfunctory. They said, we're making an RPG maker. There should be, you know, Pavol is a knight. He's going to fight people as part of the plot. There's going to be battles that he takes part in. So naturally, we should have a battle system. And there's a few right answers in combat. And once you know what those right answers are, you can pick them every time and pretty much win every fight in the game. That's sort of where I come down.
Do you want to take a little break?
Yeah, I would love that.
That's awesome. Let's take a little break and then we'll come back and I have some fun facts.
Oh, we have fun. Oh, we're going into the fun facts segment.
I have a couple fun facts. I don't have a ton of fun facts, but I can think of a couple fun facts. And then we also have more Wikipedia corners coming up. So
yes, I've been really excited about this.
Great. The first Wikipedia corner is the biggest.
Okay.
Is the most, but you know, we have, you could call it like a Wiktionary corner if you wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll see you in a minute.
All right. I love you.
I love you.
Okay, bye.
Closing my doors
to your little closet.
Into my closet. I'm getting back in the closet. It's so hot in here. I opened the doors when I went to make another cup of tea, and my room probably outside of this closet is probably a cool 80 degrees. Was like a beautiful breath of cool air.
Oh no.
I think we're probably rocking a humid 90 in this closet at the moment.
That can't be good.
Which is fine. I enjoy the heat. I rock with the heat. I did put a shirt on. I don't think you ever saw my breasts, but They were out. And I was a little afraid of you seing them. I removed the pants.
But it wouldn't have been
Thank
an issue
God,
if I had.
that would have been embarrassing. I removed the pants and I put on a linen shirt. Yeah, this is my third cup of tea today, and I feel like I should just start drinking coffee again. It's kind of like a what are we doing here, man kind of situation.
I fuck with the tea era though. I like it. I don't drink coffee.
Yeah, can't handle it.
Nope. I can't roll with the cool kids like that.
Weak constitution. We're always pressuring you to do drugs, and you
low key.
You keep saying no to our stimulants. Okay, so I have some fun facts.
Oh, hold up. We're back! Everybody!
We're back.
What a joy.
I have a new... I was kind of operating on a, like, you know when podcasts start and they're, like, clearly, like, having a chat?
Yeah.
Like, just as people, and then, like, after, like, 30 or 40 seconds, the host will be like, and welcome to our podcast. And then one of the guests is like, oh, we're re-recording. And then, like, the theme song plays. I think that's so charming. Yeah. Imagine the... Stavi's World. That's what we're doing.
And welcome back to Leaving the Party, brought to you by Norman Reedus.
Here's our guest, Stavros Halkias. Here's a fun fact about me. You already know this, but I want to share this with the world. With the world. I never listened to Cumtown. I'm not a Cumtown guy.
Sure.
I never did it. I've listened to, I think, half of one of their episodes, and I thought it was kind of bad and racist. Not in a good way. But I will say, I would fuck Adam Friedland within an inch of his life. There is something about that man that, like, really gets me going.
Oh, man.
I don't know what it is, but
that's so funny. I like the Cuomo interview. It's really funny.
Yeah, he has a lot of really great interviews like that.
I haven't seen any of them except the Cuomo one. He's
got bad posture. He looks kind of sweaty. Like
he does.
He's really funny. He's like he's like on TV. Like he's doing like a TV thing.
Is he really?
Like, well, he's not on TV, but like he's
fake TV.
He's doing an interview show like on a set, right? Mm-hmm. Like he could do hair and makeup, and he chooses to look kind of sweaty. Which I think is awesome. That's hot to me.
Oh man!
Which is how I know I'm really bisexual for real. Because like,
when there's a sweaty guy who is pale and a little weird looking.
Yeah, kind of scrungly. Yeah.
So tell me about your fun facts.
Enough about Adam Friedland.
Tell me about your fun facts.
Let me find a fun fact to land you. So I wanna give you a positive fun fact. Which is, there's a soldier who says at one point early on, quote, "The Hussites should not beset our castle. Yet they thought that in Kapushani, yet look at them now." Mm. And Kapushani is a village in eastern Slovakia who, in 1444, the Czech Hussite thugs of Jiska invaded the castle. So this is like a crazy deep cut. This is a reference to something that happened in real life, where the Hussites attacked this like tiny village. Just like an amazing little detail, not on Wikipedia. This is like something that I found when Googling Kapushani, and this is like just on some website somewhere. Just that's awesome. And then also there's here's a more amusing fun fact. There's a line where Mate says, quote, "Verily, what a sweet scent doth fill the air. It doth bring to mind I dreamed ecstasy of Saint Teresa." And I thought to myself, I wonder who Saint Teresa is. Well, it turns out, Kerry, that there was no Saint Teresa until 1622.
Oh.
So Mate is talking about no one.
That's interesting.
As far as I can tell. You know, if you're a real Catholic head and you want to fact check me on that, and you can find a Saint Teresa, I'm not an expert. Disclaimer. But as far as I know, there's no Saint Teresa before 1622, which is like 200 years after this game.
Here we go. Here's a Wikipedia page titled "List of Saints Named Teresa."
I've been on that Wikipedia page, baby. You will find the first entry.
1515 is the first one that I see here. Saints named Teresa include Teresa of Avila or Teresa of Jesus, a Spaniard.
Yeah. That's when she was born, but she wasn't canonized till 1620. So she wouldn't have been. She wouldn't have been a saint.
My fault.
You know what I'm saying?
My fault.
She wouldn't have been a saint. Yeah, she's just a guy. She's a guy named Teresa.
That's regular guy Teresa over there.
Me and regular Teresa are regular.
This it doth bring to mind images of regular Teresa.
Yeah, you've been fact checked. Okay, so my other fun fact, which is along these lines, another historical error. So get ready, Jozef.
Everyone get your red pens out.
Yeah, exactly. So Jozef, the Lord Jozef, mentions at one point that he's gonna ask the Count Esterházy about this. This is a Hungarian noble family. He does more than once. I could find 2 examples of this, but I didn't fact check every single name. But I found 2 examples of him kind of name dropping like a Hungarian noble family, which is a great little historical detail. Mm-hmm. But this family did not adopt the name Esterházy or Esterhás until the early 1500s. So before that, they were called the Solomon family. Jozef would have known them as Count Solomon.
Instead of the Count of Esterházy. What is it?
Esterházy. So there are my fun facts. I have a couple more that we may have to revisit.
All right, Jozef and Vlado, you hear that?
Don't want to overwhelm you with all the fun we're having.
Can I talk about something that I really like about Pavol?
Yes, please.
Something I love about Pavol throughout this game is that almost always, so every character in this game has their own little character sprite.
Yes.
Pavol almost always is wearing this like shit-eating drunken grin. He is just a happy-looking guy. And not really, but he has a certain drunken charisma about him.
Yeah.
And he is always wearing this like big, stupid smile.
Yeah.
And I really love that because it allows for very, very rare moments where the smile goes away and you go, whoa, what the fuck is up with that guy? Probably one of my favorite moments in the game that I remember is this random little section. It doesn't really happen for any like plot related reason. It's just like this little section of the woods is the home of a woods worker and his daughter. And he is at some point in the game killed by Hussites, and we interrupt them while the Hussites are sort of harassing this random girl. And we start a fight, and we kill all the Hussites, and we leave the woodsman's daughter with this pile of corpses, including her father's corpse, and we walk away. And the moment you walk off the screen, you can talk to her, but she doesn't have anything to say, really. She says that her dad got killed. He didn't even do anything. He just told them to let her go. But you can't really do anything beyond that, and you walk away. And the moment you walk to the next screen, Matej says, like, oh, hey, we should go back. We should at least, like, bring her to the castle or something and find her somewhere safe. And Pavel's like, all right, yeah, we do. But you go back, and she's already gone. And this is the first of 2 moments in the entire game where the drunken, shit-eating smile on Pavel's face is wiped away completely. He says, she is gone. Christ. Hope she finds some happiness wherever she went. And that's the end of that. You can investigate the corpses in this area, and in fitting with his weird change of tone here, he says, I am tired. When will it stop, all the killing? I just think this works really well tonally in the game. It's so sad. I don't think we see this girl ever again. It's one of the few times where this game injects some real seriousness into this sort of character. And it works specifically because Pavel doesn't behave like this normally. Pavel is always like, he is sort of a guy who is presenting himself as fair. He's a fun, drunk guy. You know what I mean? That's the way that he's trying to present himself.
He's kind of a great hang.
He wants to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He goes to like you'll spend a decent chunk of time in this game going to the tavern for various reasons. And there's a really fun scene. This is actually also one of my favorite scenes in the game where you meet Merrick for the first time.
And Pavol and Matej are trying to talk to Merrick, who is the leader of this cult. They don't know this yet, but they understand that he's like related to some coffee distributor. And they're trying to figure out what's going on with the cult. So you go into this bar, or this tavern, I guess, and Merrick is there. Matej suggests that to prevent Pavol from drinking, what they should do is they should switch outfits. Pavol would be a clergyman or a priest wearing Matej's clothes, and Matej would be a knight wearing Pavel's
And they also
armor.
agree that Matej has to drink.
Yes,
because and they specifically, I think they specifically, Pavel says, like, we don't want to look like a couple of mujahideen, which is just like a fun, like a funny little reference. And so Matej has to drink while they're doing this escapade.
Matej, dressed as the knight Pavol, needs to drink, allowing Pavol, dressed as a monk, to abstain. And this is really funny because Pavol loves this idea because he just wants to see Matej get drunk. And it's really funny seeing these two like feed into each other's worst impulses a lot. It's very charming of them. It's almost cute. The sprites in the scene are also really funny because they straight up just take Pavel's face and they put it on Matej's sprite, and vice versa. They put Matej's face on Pavel's sprite.
It's a great bit.
It's so funny. But like, this is the thing, is that like Matej eventually gets too drunk and loses a fight with Merrick and passes out. It has to be taken to his quarters. But after that, Pavol just is like, well, he's asleep, so I'm just gonna get fucked up, and me and this Merrick guy, we're actually just gonna hang for a while.
Yeah, Merrick beats up his friend like crazy, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna go drink with this guy, he seems like a chiller.
But this is the thing that I think is so funny and like so interesting about Pavel's character, is like, this is his element, you know what I mean? Like, this is what he wants to be doing all the time, is he wants to be going to the tavern and exchanging stories with weird guys and getting so fucked up and out drinking everyone, and watching his friends get shit-faced and beaten up. And it's like, and that's why it works in these very, very rare moments where he's like, the seriousness is wiped away from him, is because it's like, this is not what this guy wants to be doing. He's literally, he wants to be in the club going, bro, he's so drunk, talking about his friend from the church. So I don't know, I just think those are a couple of really great scenes that work sort of because of each other. And there's one more time that I saw that Pavel's smile goes away, but we'll get to that when we talk about the climax of the game.
Yeah, I think like the characterization is really, really strong. Like, you know who all of these people are, and you know what they believe in, and they are managed to do that like while maintaining kind of the old style of writing, and like also keeping them very anchored in like the setting, which is pretty foreign to us. Yeah, it's great writing.
We're going a little out of order here, but that's fine. One more thing that happens here in the tavern that I think is great, or not great, actually, is the opposite of great. One thing that happens in this tavern that I think is demonstrative of how this game sort of thinks about Paula, and about women generally. At the end of this scene in the tavern, after Merrick leaves, Paula arrives, and Pavel hits her. He beats her. He allegedly has never done this before, and she also says this, but it does happen. He's extremely drunk. He hits her as punishment, basically, for her leaving him and joining the cult and everything. There's the big like plot twist that happens that triggers the climax of the game, and she sort of plays into him and is like, oh, you know, I'm going to come back to you. I do really love you. I'm sorry for everything that I've done, etc., etc. And then she stabs him in the chest and he falls to the ground. And it's this sort of presented as this like moment of betrayal, and this is where the game like really picks up into its third act, where we try with a lot more fervor to get at the cult where they live, the cult of Zervan. But the reason I bring this up is because I want to talk about Paula a little bit.
Yes,
I feel very bad for Paula, both as like a character in the world and also as a character in the work of fiction that is Felvidek. I think that both the world of Felvidek and also the narrative structure of Felvidek is really not working in her favor. She leaves Pavol because he's an alcoholic, and she joins the cult basically to escape him, is my understanding. And in joining the cult, she is, like all the other cultists, roped into a whole lot of stuff that is pretty bad. And narratively, she sort of kind of just goes along with it. She thinks it'll guarantee her safety, but yeah, she doesn't put up a whole lot of resistance to this sort of thing. She stabs Pavol in an effort to complete this escape. And when she goes back to the cult, something really interesting happens, where the cult, specifically Merrick, turns their backs on her. Merrick attacks Paula because Merrick had just spent this whole time talking to Pavol, who was saying he was Matei, and he just believes everything that Pavol was saying. He believes what Pavel was saying while he was drunk in the pub. Pavel was pretending to be Matei, drunkenly tells Merrick his life story as though he were Matei, including mentioning Paula by name. And Paula, when she speaks with Merrick later, Merrick is like, okay, well, you're a liar. I've been talking to this Matei guy, and actually, he's your husband. And I don't know what you're talking about with all this night business. But anyway, we have this night, and we don't need you anymore. And they basically turn on her because the cult believes some random guy over her. I love the way that she's set up as like a minor antagonist, just to be cast aside by basically everybody, except for the man that she's trying to escape. She's a very tragic and sad character. And like in the story, in the context of the story, I do think this is supposed to be misogyny all the way down for Paula. But I also think that the game pretty much thinks of her not very favorably. I think that the game has a pretty misogynist like lens that they view her story through as well.
Yeah, I think this is something that I think is true both about Paula and the women in this game, and also the Jewish character in the game, who we can talk about in a minute. Mm-hmm. But there is this contrast that I find it really hard to square, where like in this setting, like there is bigotry against these people.
Yes.
And to not portray that, and to pretend that it doesn't exist in a game that is explicitly historical would be a mistake.
It would be dishonest.
And I'm really glad that they like go to lengths in order to show like this is a reality of how these people existed. These are whole humans. It does not like full-throatedly endorse like bigotry. Like the game does not believe, I think fundamentally, that like women are lesser people, but it does engage in like a bit of dismissal of their problems. It like simultaneously like is saying like women are discriminated against in this setting, and also like and they suffer because of that. It's willing to be like that is their experience in this world. And I think it is also willing to engage in the like poking fun a little bit. I struggled with this and like where I sort of landed on this kind of back and forth through the whole game. I'm still not 100% on like how I feel about it, but I think it's doing both things.
Yes. I think that is definitely trying to establish like, look, this is a discrimination, like a historical discrimination. This is like the type of thing that happened all the time. But also like, I feel the position of the game is such that like Paula is a backstabbing manipulator, you know?
Yeah.
And she is also our only like real female character.
Yeah. There's a bit of like shrugging and going like, well, that's how it is. Like it's not like really,
it's not engaging with Paula as like a three-dimensional person who like exists and has like feelings and backgrounds and like you know, material incentives and existence in the world.
Yeah.
She is Pavel's wife. That is her character.
Like this is the thing is like the part of that is understandable because she is a side character, but also if you are writing a side character like who's like a major facet of them is like that they have this discrimination against them, like you need to I would like to see that be addressed in a way that like does not just put it there and leave it sort of unacknowledged.
She is a side character, but she is also like the main driving force behind our main character.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel that is sort of all she gets to be, which is, it's unfortunate to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she and the Jewish character as well are both like just instruments for like the progress of the story.
Mm-hmm. We should talk about, we should talk about the Jewish character in this game. One.
So this is kind of this is my biggest problem and the biggest hurdle to like recommending this game to someone. So there's like I think that there is anti-Semitism in this game in a pretty explicit way. We're about to talk about anti-Semitism both in the game and in real life during this period in Hungary. But before we do that, and this is frustrating and this is fucked up, but the word anti-Semitism is at the moment being used disingenuously by Zionists specifically against people saying that the state of Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, and that Israel has been committing these war crimes for essentially its whole history, that the government of Israel is fascist, that it is an apartheid state, and that it should not be in power as it is now. All of these things are true, and it is not anti-Semitic to say that. This is the position of the podcast, is my opinion. We're endorsing this.
Yes.
Many of the people in America, and we're Americans, so like this is the perspective that we're bringing. People in America who are ardently pro-Israel and support this genocide also believe conspiracy theories about Jewish people, in blood libel, in far-right Christian hate and conspiracy towards the Jews. And the people who believe those things are also fascists, and they have made an alliance with Jewish fascists because they both believe that racism and genocide are good and right. So when we talk about anti-Semitism here, we are talking about it in its true sense, which is the belief that Jewish people are inherently lesser because of their Jewishness. And that belief has powered horrific evils targeted at Jewish people for thousands of years, some of which we're about to talk about in the context of this game. And that is wrong. We think it is wrong, and we oppose it completely. And this is why it's so disgusting to me that we see the term anti-Semitism weaponized for far-right propaganda trying to excuse a genocide. So I just wanted to make it clear that like we believe entirely that like anti-Semitism is wrong, and I have like big problems with it in this game. And also the way that anti-Semitism is sometimes used now in like a propagandistic context for denouncing the genocide in Gaza is wrong.
Yes.
It shouldn't mean that. Okay. Here's our mini Wikipedia corner about Jewish people in medieval Europe and in Hungary.
I have a feeling we looked at the same Wikipedia article.
Yeah, there is a Wikipedia article that is like the Jews in medieval Hungary, which is so specific. So just like as a broad overview, and I think most people probably know most of this, but I just want to go over it in broad strokes just so we're aware. European rulers at this point in history are almost all Christian. And so Jewish people who live in Europe are at the mercy of Christian policy and attitudes towards them. So some rulers gave them protections and rights, and others drove them out of their countries violently, and sometimes this would even be the same ruler. So life as a Jewish person in medieval Europe was unpredictable, and your safety depended on the whims of someone you basically had no relationship with, and how your neighbors felt about you. About 100 years before the game takes place was the Black Plague. And during that time, especially in Western Europe, Jewish people were accused of poisoning wells and blood libel and systemically robbed and killed and driven out. These horrible pogroms across Western Europe and Eastern Europe as well. But what ended up happening is a lot of Jewish people migrated from Western Europe to Eastern Europe, and Eastern Europe became home to many Ashkenazi Jews. And in Hungary, they fared better than most. Hungary has like on average, better track record with like protecting Jewish rights and livelihood and safety than most countries in Europe, which is great. I think that's good. But also, like everywhere, it was easy to rescind those rights and safety. And there were times where the political tide turned and all the things, the safety that was once guaranteed was gone. And you could be killed because you were an outsider. The Jewish man that we see in the game is wearing a Jewish hat that began as traditional dress and then was intermittently legislated across Europe that Jews had to wear in order to identify themselves. And this is something that happened with a lot of different religions. This happened with Muslims as well. This kind of othering through legislation in order for everyone to know this is not a Christian. Something we are about to talk about is like Jewish people are involved in money lending, which came about because Christians were prohibited from charging interest to other Christians, and this lent Jewish people stereotypes and created biases that we see still today in, for example, the Harry Potter books. So there are like these portions of Jewish life. There were times when Jewish people were invited to live and work for a kingdom because of their professional skill with accounting, because Christians often weren't allowed to. But then that same kingdom would turn around and there would be a crusade or a pogrom and you would be targeted and killed. So we have, in summary, like we have a small minority group who are not Christian, who probably speak Yiddish rather than the native language, who dress radically different and have essentially no political power. So it is very easy to target them when people need someone to blame, and there probably won't be consequences. And we see that in the game. This is in the text. There's a couple quotes. A guardsman in the village says, if you wish to know everything, go seek the Jew in a hut in the woods. But some hath whispered, he doth be in league with the Czechs, Hussites or some such. Which is obviously not true, but this is like an example of like, here is this person who is othered, and when our community is under threat, they are not part of our community. Like they are very easy to blame and easy to say like, oh, this is someone who is a threat to us. And I think the barkeeper in the same, or like soon before says the Hussites, quote, raided a Jew, doesn't live in the town, guards couldn't protect him, treated him badly, they say, right? And this guy is expressing sympathy. He's saying like it's a bad thing that this Jewish man got beat up by the Hussites, but like this is right before someone else accuses him of conspiring with the Hussites. So there's no winning. You are the other no matter what. There are no consequences to attacking you.
The Hussites also attack him.
Yes, they do. They attacked him before, and they do it while you're there.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Do you have broad thoughts about this that you have?
Yeah. So
I don't want to just talk.
No, it's okay. So I'm not Jewish. And
yeah, me neither.
I don't know a lot about 15th century Judaism in Hungary and Slovakia. Yeah. From my limited research, my feeling is that the portrayal of this guy is not very good. I don't fuck with the way that they handle this guy.
It's also worth saying, like, the way he's illustrated, like, he has a big nose. He looks very stereotypically Jewish.
Yeah, let me see if
I think the first time he appears, it put me off a little bit, and I was like, it does not feel good.
Yeah. So for context, I'm just gonna describe him a little bit, like visually. He is kind of throwing up he has one sprite, I'm pretty sure. It's the sprite where he's sort of throwing his hands up in the air in a woe is me type way. He has a big pointy hat, a big black beard and thick eyebrows, really like wide, big nose. He's wearing these like dark purplish robes, which are distinct from the Zervan purple robes, but still, and like a cape. And he has a rope with a noose tied on it, just kind of slung about his shoulders, because when he's introduced, he is on his way to go kill himself because some Catholic missionaries and mercenaries have baptized him and kicked him out of his home. And he pays you like 200 gold, which at the time in the game felt to me like an exorbitant amount of money, to kill the Hussites who have harassed him. He has a manner of speaking that is pretty like kind of stereotypically mystic, which is to say he always speaks in third person, as far as I can tell. And he was helping the cultists because they, to a small extent, because they offer him a lot of money. He's also in his basement developing a hot air balloon, which is like, would be a funny thing for someone to be developing in their basement if it were not for all of this other stuff that's going on with him. But truthfully, I don't know what to make of this. He seems to me like an anti-Semitic caricature, and this is definitely an anti-Semitic world that the game takes place in. But I don't think they're doing anything interesting here. I just think it's kind of stupid. And I think it's slightly worse later when there's like a moment in the game where he tags along with your party for a while that I think is a huge structural misstep, where he joins your party, but he's not a playable character, and so instead he joins as a key item, and it fully says on the bottom of the screen, "You acquired a Jew," and it does not play well for me. And I understand how someone ends up here, right? Because this is a game design problem that they just failed to solve. They wanted to represent mechanically the fact that this guy is in your party and in your group without adding him as a playable party character. So the simplest way to do that is to add him as a key item, because once you do that, it makes it easier to trigger events later on, since the events will trigger by using the quote-unquote Jew item that is in your key item section. But they don't dress up the fact that he's just a key item now, and I think it's a huge misstep because it comes off as a belief of the game rather than a belief of any character in the world. So, I don't know. Words mean things, I guess, is what I'm saying. And "you acquired a Jew" really rubs me the wrong way, in a way that I don't think is very funny and is more just kind of structurally weird and feels like like I said, a design problem that they just failed to solve.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when this starts, when this whole sequence starts, I was approaching it with a lot more sympathy, where I was like, this is an anti-Semitic world. They're talking about this guy like in a way that I think is realistic for people to talk about a character like this, where it's like he is being othered, he is being targeted. It is unjust. There's clearly sympathy for him, and also like he's not like us kind of attitude, where it's like my initial read was very generous to the game.
Sure.
I think. And then that turned around because as it goes on, you hear more about his suffering. Like there's this moment where like he gives you an enormous amount of money, but also he's very poor. Obviously, like he has like a dirt floor in the basement, which is like a classic anti-Semitic stereotype. Is like these people like are involved in money lending, and so people believe they owe a lot of money, but that's not really true. They're like Jewish people in medieval Europe are broadly like very poor.
Yeah.
Because they're like constantly targeted and robbed, and they don't make that much money in the first place, and there are essentially no consequences for attacking them. And this like moment where he offers you money to save him reads like an anti-Semitic joke to me. If it was not intentional, then it's just in poor taste. And then this like final moment that you're talking about, where you get the key item. This was kind of the last straw, because when you open that key item, the item description is, quote, "Mr. Stein, we must bring him home."
Oh, I did
and that's
not
a joke
read that.
about, that's a joke about like Jewish people's last name, like having Stein in it. And It's just like, this like seals, I think for me, like without a shadow of doubt, is like, no, this character is to the game
a joke. Yeah.
Like, his suffering and his Jewishness, like, is a joke, and it's not worthy of, like, serious feeling and empathy. And it undermines, like, the, like, moments of good writing that do surround this character. I think it's not cool.
It's very not cool. And it undermines what I think is one of the funniest parts of the game, which is the fact that he has a hot air balloon in his basement. Which is, outside of all of this like discussion that we're having right now, is so funny. like a hot air balloon is an incredibly funny thing to me, and the problem that he's trying to solve with it is also incredibly funny. He's like invented a hot air balloon backwards from first principles, saying like, oh, you know, we can make a balloon, warm air rises, if we get hot air, this eventually will be able to pick somebody up, but he doesn't have a way to produce that sort of heat. Because they don't have they just technologically aren't there yet. And so he has a non-functioning hot air balloon in his home. It's such a funny joke. But they, of course, also have to wrap it, like you said, it undermines this extremely funny bit about his character because they're doing all of this other stuff that is really kind of detestable.
Yeah, especially I think like when you're making you're in Eastern Europe and like you're like making a game about this time, like you need to be careful and you need to be sensitive, and it fails on those counts. And I think like many of the same things are true for like the way that it treats women, where it's like there are moments of writing where it like aspires to something, and then but like ultimately they are sort of dismissed as like being less essential, being less than.
And I have I mean, we've gone to great pains to point this out, but I have a feeling that there are a lot of people out there who defend this sort of thing by saying, oh, but look at this time period that it takes place in. This is historically, you know, this is like a historically minded game. Of course it's going to show this sort of discrimination and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, but it's also the game itself is doing it. You know, it's not necessarily that the game is presenting neutrally this like horrible thing that's happened historically, and it is trying to do that in certain moments, but it's also the biases of the creator of the game come through regardless of whether they intend it or not.
I think there is a generous read of this, but it's like there are just a few moments that it's like, no, it is ultimately come through that like the game does believe that like jokes about Jewishness are funny. At their expense. Yeah. And I do not think that it is. And I think it hurts the character, and I think it like alienates the audience, and I think that it like I think it's unkind and it's cruel. I don't fuck with it. It
certainly alienated me. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the things that I struggled with while playing the game is like, I'm a woman. And I don't think that this game feels particularly charitable towards me. And, you know, it's fine. Not everything has to be for me. Clearly this isn't. But it's definitely like, I got about 3 hours. Like I said before, I got about 3 hours into this game and I was like, oh, I just don't know if I care about this game as much as I hoped I would, because visually, like the first time I sent this to you is because visually this game is just such a treat to look at and to hear. But it definitely falls flat in certain ways because of stuff like this.
I think like so much of this game is concerned with like the conflict between peoples, like different ethnicities, different religions, like how they interact with each other in this time period and in this place. And so I don't think it's like inherently bad or wrong to like have a Jewish character who is discriminated against. I think that's like I think that's good. I think that's a good thing to portray. And
all things can be portrayed in art.
Yeah, it's like it's very in line with the themes, like the broader themes of the game, which are like, here are conflicts between peoples, and here it is what it is like to be in the middle of them on the lowest level. But I think it fails itself because it doesn't allow all of those different groups to be equally human.
Yeah. I think it definitely has trouble, like, it's, like you said, it's interested in all of these different groups having different interests and conflict arising between them, which I think is great. But I think it definitely has trouble presenting the perspectives of anybody that is outside of the, like, Catholic perspective of the game.
Yeah, I think you could say similar things about like the Hussites and the Czechs too.
And the cultists.
I think, yeah. And I think you actually get a little more insight into the Turks and the Ottomans. Like at the end of the game, there's like a very long kind of interview portion that you can do with this Turk. And you like learn a lot about him.
Oh, really?
But I think like it is different when you're talking about like the Czechs versus like the Jewish people.
Oh, that's right, because he joins your group as well, and it says you have gained an Ottoman. Yes. And that I took a screenshot of that as well, because I was like, I just think that this is literally itemizing people based on their ethnicity.
I would love for you to tell me about Ida. I talked to Ida a couple of times, but I did not have a great grasp on her character, what she was about. So I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, so at some point while you're in the village, I went into I was just exploring the village and went into a random house, and I got mugged, basically. I don't know if...
me too.
Yeah. They basically, some people come up behind you and knock you upside the head, and then you wake up and you're in your undergarments, basically, and all your armor and all of your equipment is gone, because you got robbed by this thief named Ida. Ida is the other female character in this game, who I actually like quite a lot. I didn't know she was a woman until much, much later in the game, where somebody used she, her pronouns for her, and I went, oh, I thought she was just a feminine looking guy, which I kind of fucked with. I think I sent you a screenshot of her at one point and said, I really like this femboy.
Yeah, you did. And I was like, I didn't say anything because I was like, I don't want to spoil it. But that was a beautiful...
That was a really beautiful moment for me.
That's a really beautiful boy.
But yeah, Ida steals from you, and it triggers this sort of long section of the game for me where you have to, or not extremely long, but it triggers this section of the game where you have to go and find Ida so you can get all of your equipment back and Pavol can get his armor. And I didn't know exactly where I was supposed to be looking for them, so I spent a decent chunk of time just kind of wandering around in my pajamas. Talking to people.
There's a lot of pajama time.
There's a decent chunk of pajama time. And which I fuck with. Don't get me wrong. I love to be in my pajamas. But eventually you go to the woodsman's place, and I found Ida and her little gang of thieves in the basement, and I demanded them to give us our stuff back, and it triggered a fight with them, which I promptly lost because we were way outnumbered and we didn't have basically anything. And after you lose, they put you in a cell in this basement, and they're sort of poking fun at you. And then cultists arrive, and the cultists start trying to fight the thieves. And so Ida gives you your stuff back and asks you to help with the fight, and Ida very, 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 very briefly joins your party. And I was so stoked about this. I was like, oh, finally, there's someone that's besides just me and Mate. And because the only other party member I think that I had at the time was the drunkard. Did you get the drunkard to join you at any point?
I don't think so, no. I think Jozef the Lord joins you very briefly.
He does. He does join you for a moment.
After,
but he doesn't stick around. The drunkard joined me. It's just some guy with a weird face and a kind of weird looking body who I
don't think this happened to me.
Oh, he's so fun. Hold on, let me send you a picture. He just looks weird as hell. He joined the party for probably literally 15 minutes or so, and then in the very first fight, he ran away because he didn't didn't want to fight anyone. I'm gonna send you a picture of this guy. I don't remember exactly what I did, but he did.
Oh no, I definitely didn't meet this guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, he joined me for a very brief stint, but then he ran away when I fought the cultists, and so Ida joins your party for a moment. I was so stoked about this because I was like, oh, finally we've set up an actual character who has agency in the world and is going to do stuff, and they're being introduced here. And they've joined our party, and she's a thief. She's a rogue.
I love when people join the party.
She's a rogue.
When someone joins the party, that's the best shit.
It feels so good, man. And they play, and I love when a game, it's oh, this person joins the party, and they play the little you know, it's oh, thank God, finally somehow.
There is a moment in Dragon Quest XI where someone joins your party after 40 hours of no one joining your party, and it's the dopamine rush is incredible. It's so good.
Yeah, so I was so stoked. I was like, oh, finally. But we kill these cultists, and it turns out all of the other thieves besides Ida have died in this battle. And we talk to Ida, and she says, basically, what point is there to go on? All of my mates are dead, you know? I don't have written down exactly what she says, but it's something to that effect. And then she doesn't show up again until pretty near the end of the game. And I was like, damn, I was that was a real bummer for me, because I was like, it at the moment, this was when I stopped playing after my first session. At the moment, I was like, this game is like constantly turning away from the interesting choice. And I was getting a little bit frustrated about it. But she does show up later. She shows up independently, having killed a couple of cultists. She's just like hanging out above their corpses in like, she's near the Jew's house. And she says basically that she has sworn to kill any of the cultists that she comes across. And at that point, I was also like, well, you should come hang. Like, we should come hang, you know? We sort of are similarly vibed right now. And she still doesn't join. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. And she doesn't join until the very, very, very end of the game. And she was with me for the final battle. There are a couple of characters that can join you in the final battle that aren't Ida. There's like a mercenary that you can save when the cultists attack the village that can also join you. And there's similarly like a couple of things that can happen in the game that just never occurred while I was playing with it. There's like a whole side quest here. I'm gonna find my notes about it, because after I played the game, I went back while I was taking notes and looked at a video of like a guide of the game, and there's a whole chunk of the game that is like, I never experienced any of this.
I got that impression. Yeah, I think like one of the problems in the game design space is that there is not a like quest tracker. There's not like even like a kind of minimal like where to go next, which and my problem with this is not actually that like I got lost very frequently, because the game isn't so big that like you would get really frustrated with that. It was more that like I was never sure if I had done everything there was to do before progressing the story. So I found very often like I would like kind of get an assignment from someone, and it'd be like, go here and talk to someone. And then I wasn't entirely sure like who or where that was. So I would kind of like head in that general direction and start talking to people. And then eventually I would hit upon the thing that I needed to do. But because I hadn't like done the normal thing, which is I do in RPGs, is like go and do everything else first before I go and progress the story to make sure I've seen everything. I felt like there was a lot of stuff that I missed. And I know there was, because I like saw the same kind of thing that you're talking about, like people talking about characters that I did not meet or like events that didn't transpire. I don't think this is like a strictly bad thing. I did often feel like
sort of directionless.
Yeah, like I wrote down the last time I played in my notes the last thing I needed to do. I wanted to see everything this game had to offer, and if it felt like I couldn't really, like, given the nature of how quests are delivered. It felt a little hard to know, like, if you've seen everything. And if that's the intent, like, I think there's something to that, to like force players into not seeing everything. But I don't know. I found it personally frustrating.
Yeah, my problem was that I would often like stop playing the game and then start again and have no idea what to do. I would like load my save and I'm in the middle of like the village or something and I'm like, geez, I don't know.
Yeah.
What I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. After I finished the game, I looked back at a guide, and the like series of events that they followed was completely different from mine.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole thing. I like skimmed it. But something that happens in my playthrough that didn't happen in their guide is Jozef dies. Did this happen to you?
Yes.
The Lord of the Castle.
He dies off screen, and I only find out about it because other people are talking about him having died.
Yeah, I went back to the castle.
Which I thought was really strange.
I went back to the castle and they were like, Jozef died. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a whole side quest. I think it's related to the parents that you found with the note earlier. Apparently, I think you can find that woman. There's like a whole side quest about a homosexual couple of two men who Pavol and Matei assume are enthralled by the cult. But actually they're just gay. And a woman who is in love with one of them who is like about to, or is trying to kill herself because she can't be with him or whatever. What? And you have to like get her, from what I see, you have to get her to like go to the cult and be a spy for you, and she reveals that there will be an ambush on the castle, at which point you can go back and stop the ambush and prevent Jozef from dying. I didn't do any of that. So I just, at some point,
I had no idea.
Yeah, at some point I just went back to the castle and Jozef was dead, and I was like, oh, okay. They also use her being a spy to get access to the like little castle that the cultists are occupying. But I also got into that through a different way. I think I got Jozef to show me some pornography that he drew and then showed it to them, and they were like, this is crazy, come on in.
Yeah.
But
there's a bit right at the beginning, so like when you first walk by that kind of encampment, you can like go to the guard at the door, and the guard's like, what's the password? And then you have 3 different passwords to choose from. And I sort of thought like, oh, like just a 1 in 3 shot that you just guess it on the first try. So I did that, and then I like reloaded the save and did all 3, and none of the passwords, the options that you're given work, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's so great. That's really good.
There's a lot of stuff that I like probably didn't see in this game. There's also like, I did this whole quest where the cult asked me to hunt down a traitor named Bodan, and I found him taking shelter in the church in the village, and I spared him, of course, and then to prove to the cult that I killed him, I cut off the tattoo on his ass.
Yeah.
But I had already found a different path into the castle. I found like a secret passage under the woodsman's house, and so
I did this exact same thing.
Yeah, and so I, originally I was going to show this guy's ass tattoo to them to be like, look, I killed him, you can trust me. But instead we just ended up invading the castle in a completely different way, and that guy was pissed because he's like, you cut my ass off. That was funny, but
they did want you to kill him, so like we did spare his life. Like he did get the better end of the deal.
Yeah, he should be thankful, honestly.
Could have gone a lot worse for him.
What I was saying about Ida was that I think that she is cool in a way that is like very, very, very like just like this is a straight up role-playing game rogue trope. You know what I mean? Like, she is a rogue who is swearing revenge for her thief friends, And it's like, it is not at all more complicated than that, but it is cool. So, like, I kind of fuck with it.
And I think, like, there's not a great reason why, like, she shouldn't just join your party. And I think, like, she gets underwritten.
Definitely.
And that's too bad, because there's a lot.
And I think that the game kind of suffers by the fact that she doesn't join. And I mean, it's not just like her, but it's like kind of anyone. I mean, Adam, we should talk about Adam in a second, but Adam joins your party pretty late in the game, pretty much like
extremely late.
Like right before the climax of the game. And up until that point, it's you and Mate. It's just the 2-person party, and it makes like combat much less interesting because, like I said earlier, you don't have a lot of options, and there are moments, I really like the moments where they have side characters introduced, people who join the fight for just a moment. And I do like how in so many of these situations how temporary and perfunctory these like bonds feel. These are just like situations where you find yourself fighting side by side with one random person who you typically wouldn't, and I think that's cool. But it also sucks that you have to go so much of the game without like an interesting combat system as a sacrifice for that.
I agree totally. Yeah, I think like both Adam and Ida like have potential to be really complex and compelling characters, but I think like they just are not present in enough of the game and don't have enough interaction to like make me feel strongly about them in the way that like I do feel strongly about Pavol and Mate. Like I know who they are and I like them, and I really enjoyed getting to know them, and I like would have liked to see like that caliber of writing for more characters as well. And I think there's space for it. Like it's not a problem of like there just is not enough room in the game.
Adam specifically, I think like has a lot of potential as a person, someone who can be a really fun character.
He's like one of the first people they mention too. Like they talk about Adam like in the first hour of the game, and then he just doesn't show up.
Yeah,
for 90% of it.
Yeah, which it's kind of funny. Like they
it's
very
funny.
very very early in the game they're like, we should send summons to Adam in Cassau. He's like an inquisitor and a nobleman. He's like literally just mentioned in the very beginning, and it isn't until the end of the game that he actually gets there because it takes forever for him to travel from Kasau to Felvidek.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but it's also like, damn, bro, really? We couldn't have like, I don't know, expedited it slightly just so we could have him around. But he's a good.
I think canonically it takes like maybe 2 days or something, but then like canonically in game, like you're just walking around for 2 days. Like the whole span of the game is like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So it is funny.
Yeah.
But it's also like
Adam is he's a great foil to Pavol because he is like a straight up noble ass knight. He's like the highest nobility from the castle other than the Lord. And when the Lord dies, Adam assumes control of the castle. He's a more noble knight than Pavol in pretty much every way. He's not a drunk. He's clever. He's pragmatic, cunning, kind of thoughtful. He has plans for things. He's like
he's also a cop. He's like plays the detective role.
Yes,
kind of. Which is funny that guy shows up 90% of the way through.
He shows up like 90% of the way through, and it's instantly like, okay, can we get the ball rolling, please? Like he's like, all right, can we please like handle our duty? And they're like, oh, okay, I guess we should probably stop the cult. Like I said, he's like a more noble knight than Pavol in every way, but Pavol doesn't really give a fuck about that. He has a really fun scene where they go to negotiate with the cultists to like, because Matei had been kidnapped by the cult. So Pavol and Adam go to negotiate with the cultists. And instead of negotiating, Adam just finds them and sees that Matei is safe and just pulls out a gun and shoots one of them dead.
It's so funny.
It's so great. Funny. He just pulls the blicky out.
He says something along the lines of like, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, he does.
It's like such a cop line. It's hilarious.
He pulls the blicky out, bro. He keeps that thing on him. He does have a gun, and he does have a full gun. That does make him a much better party member than most of the other people that you'll meet throughout the game, just by nature of the fact that he can shoot people. Yeah. The gun is really fun. It does a lot of damage, but it prevents you from taking an action the next turn because you have to reload it.
Yeah, I think like that is like another kind of thing that I noticed, like in that final dungeon, like the combat gets more complicated. Like I didn't realize that I had to wait a turn to reload until like the last couple battles because it just like
because the fights were over too quickly.
Yeah. But like in that last fight, I was like, oh, I realized it. I was like playing around it a little, and then it was kind of like, okay, well, it's over. Now. Yeah.
So he's pretty good. He's a great addition to the party. He does the war horn that lowers the attack and defense of all the enemies, which is fun in a combo with the gun. He's like the hybrid support damage class, and he can easily like drop like 100 damage, which is a lot in this game because most of the time you'll be doing like 15 to 40 for most of the game. He can easily drop like 100 damage on some fool after he warhorns them and shoots them.
That kind of like hybrid of support and damage character is like, I remember Tim Rogers talking about this in his Dragon Quest XI review about the main character in that game. Mm-hmm. Being like, because you have this character who is both high damage and a support character, you're kind of encouraged to like make them play around the other characters that you have. Like if your companion is an attack character, like you have to let him take the support role, which I think like says something about who they are as a person, about like they are malleable, they're good at a lot of different things, but like they need to fall into the role in which they are necessary in like a ludonarrative assonance.
Yeah. Well, this is a really common thing in like role-playing game, like at least like especially JRPGs and like role-playing games with like party structures and stuff like that. This is a really common thing where you'll have the main protagonist be somebody who can kind of fall into a lot of different roles, especially in Dragon Quest, where you'll end up learning strong like offensive skills like Thunder Slash or whatever, in addition to your heals and your stat buffs and status effect stuff. That's like a huge JRPG thing. It's really funny that they give this to Adam, who is introduced in the third act of the game, you know? Yeah. He's like,
he has big like protagonist.
He's like protagonist coded. And I think it's great that, I think it's a really funny choice that they don't make him the protagonist, you know? They make Pavol the protagonist, who is kind of a drunk fuck up.
Pavol is much more like the best friend kind of thing. The Ryuji
But yeah, and then for the final thing where we have Ida join, that completes the party for me. Did you have anyone besides Ida join?
I don't think so. I think it was only Adam and Ida
Okay,
in the final battle.
Yeah, you can get like a mercenary, like I said earlier, but Ida is probably my favorite character, and I think it's because she's the only character that really has a big character arc, as I think it relates to the main characters and the players.
Yeah.
I think the point of Pavel's character is that he doesn't have a character arc, you know? He doesn't get better. Pavel, at the end of this game, Pavel ends the game the way he begins. He's still a drunk, he's still a knight, he's still sworn to violent service that he wishes would end, always fighting. And this is, I'm just gonna read one of the like slides. You get a slideshow at the end of the game.
They do a Where Are They Now?
Yeah, exactly. The last thing that shows up is says, how precisely Polly's story, they call him Polly here. It's one of his little aliases. How precisely Polly's story continued, no one knows for certain. The only thing that is known is that Polly once again joined the struggle against the Ottomans in the Balkans. And he's like, yeah, he changes in a sense, but he really doesn't. Whereas Ida,
I think this is like sorry,
no, it's okay. I'm just gonna finish this. Whereas Ida, she goes from like a petty thief to a sort of like anti-hero, revenge-driven figure who hunts down cultists, and it's like it's fun and cute. Is that complicated? Is that like particularly interesting? No, but I do think it does speak to the sort of shallowness of some aspects of this game as like an emotionally effective narrative, that like this is the biggest character arc that we really see throughout the game.
Yeah, I think Pavel's character changes more than that. I think like there are huge parts of him that stay fundamentally the same, definitely, but I think like those things are contrasted against like especially how he feels about Paula and like his acceptance that she is gone. Like the sort of big change at the end of the game is she says pretty explicitly. So the two of them have a conversation at the end of the game. Pavel asks if she still loves him, and she says, "I know not, likely no." And Paula is like being attacked by villagers for working with the cult at this point, and she says, "Let us return, Polly. I deserve death only. I am terribly afraid. Find thyself another woman, for I do not even have regrets for what thou hast endured for me." And Pavel says, "Oh, well, I understand ye. I've behaved towards ye like a hypocrite, but I love you still." And then he still loves her, he cannot betray her. And then he asks, "But if ye no longer lovest me, that is a different story." And like ultimately I think like Paula is saying like, no, it is over. And like the change that happens in him is like he's accepting that. They go up in the hot air balloon. But I think like they get to share something and then they leave and like he gets to be at peace with that. Which I like.
Yeah.
I think is good.
I do think that is probably you're right. That is a big change for him. But I still think like fundamentally like he is the same person in the beginning as he is at the end.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is fine. It doesn't have to, he doesn't have to go through a great like character arc. He certainly doesn't have to become a better person. I don't think that would be an interesting story.
Yeah, he definitely does not become a better person.
Yeah.
Let's take a little break. And then I would love to talk about the cult and the ending of this game.
Yeah, I would love that.
How does that sound to you?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Bye-bye. We'll be back.
I love you.
I love you. That really got you last time.
I thought it was just so funny because we're going away for 3 minutes. This really tickled me.
Oh, man.
All right. Oh, it's so cool out.
Oh, you opened the closet?
So cool. It's so cool outside the closet.
Sometimes because I fear that my mom will listen to this, because my mom is a big podcast person, not at all a role-playing games person. She's never probably played a video game in most of her life. But
I think the only video game that my mom has kind of played is she watched me play The Last of Us, the first one.
Really?
like 2018 or whenever.
Yeah, that's funny. My mom pretty much doesn't understand how video games work, I think. I don't know that she's ever played any of them. My dad has also mostly not played video games except for Crash Team Racing for the PlayStation 1. Yeah. I played with him, and all the time when I play video games, he's like, why don't you play that one game anymore? Crash Team Racing. And I go, well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I just don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, when your halls are full of gold, why would you fill them with anything else?
It's true. My dad once asked me something that I always thought was really funny and a very strange, like, sports guy perspective on video games, which is he was watching me play, I think either Fallout or Mass Effect, because this was in like 2014 or 2015. He was watching me play this and he was like, so what's the point? Like, how do you win? And I was like, well, it's not really a winning game. It's like a game with a story, you know? So it's like, you know, you don't win a movie. It's just sort of, you're playing the game. He's like, well, what's the point? I mean, if I'm playing a game, I want to win. How do I win? I'm like, you know, he's kind of cooking. He's kind of true.
Yeah. It's true as hell. See if I have any more fun facts. I mean, this is the thing, is I have a lot of facts.
Yes.
Most of them are not fun.
Let's ring the bell. Ding, ding, ding. Let's go back in. Tess's fun facts.
I have this one note that, and this is very exemplary of like the kind of notes I have. They mention a guy called Geza of Debrecen, and my note just says, does not appear to be a real person. It's just like, that's mostly the vibe. They mention, you can probably glean this from context clues, but they mention like 4 or 5 different kinds of liquor. One of them that I have written down here is Frunzalika, which is a Slovak spirit from a blend of grains. It features heavily in the movie Pacho, the Brigand of Hybe.
Oh, okay.
There's this website called Bonston, which apparently sells liquor, and it says, quote, Frunzalika is a legendary and mysterious drink made by classical distillation in the bosom of the magical Slovak nature, only from the purest natural ingredients. It is mysterious but strong, full of flavor, with aromas of chocolate, vanilla, and traces of apple. A creamy taste is subtly intertwined with subtle, exotic spices.
Okay.
The aftertaste is slightly intense and medium long.
Okay. That's definitely a fun fact.
Yeah. They do a lot of like diminutives in this game. Like, a lot of people have like variations on their names. And I was like trying to figure out like something interesting to say about this, and I kind of like didn't really ever figure anything out. Like, this is like kind of something that happens in Slavic languages, is like people get various nicknames.
Like Paula,
but I was reading this paper. Yeah, exactly. I was reading this paper trying to find something interesting to say, and the title of the paper is Suffixal Diminutives and Augmentatives in Slovak. They say, quote, Slovak as a Slavic language has, quote, an affluence of evaluative morphology, mostly diminutive, with a relatively wide range of their distribution and semantic functions, and has several augmentative suffixes as well, though of more limited distribution and functionality. So I didn't get a lot out of that.
Oh, okay.
Paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jozef has some fun little sayings that he says in Hungarian. One thing he says is, I'm not going to try to pronounce this, but it means a Hungarian phrase you say to wish someone misfortune, and it means literally, let a guitar grow in your belly and a crab strum it.
Oh.
He also says, cool. Yeah, he says, oh, may wheelbarrow of small monkeys fuck it.
Can I, real quick, something that I absolutely love about Jozef's character, I can't believe we haven't mentioned it so far. Jozef fucking...
I know exactly where you're going to say.
Jozef loves board games. It's like 50% of his character is every time
it's his bit.
He he ends almost every single conversation with him by being like, "Hey, someone get Deucey in here so we can play chess." You know, or like let me.
He mentions a different game every time.
It's different every single time
bit.
because it's all board games from different cultures and stuff like that that he just has access to because he's like a rich nobleman who like talks to all these different types of people.
Yeah.
So he's
always loses.
Yeah, he sucks at them.
Ass.
This is like
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say this is like my favorite part about his character, and like one of my favorite recurring bits in the game is just how much this guy loves board games.
It's really funny. There's a bit where like after they play chess, I think Mate and him play chess. Someone and him play chess together.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come back and talk to him the next time, he's like, "Yeah, I got to figure out how the knight moves." That's a hilarious thing to say.
That's so awesome. Yeah, we the guy we cut his ass off, we end up having him play chess with him because he's like, "Hey,
that's who it is."
He's like, "Hey, you gotta try playing a chess against this guy. You know, he's currently in a lot of pain, so there's a chance he might even win."
He does not.
Yeah, I can't believe that didn't come up sooner. It's like one of the funniest bits in the game.
Joseph is really funny. I was really sad when I found out he died. I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
he's hilarious." All right, I have my final Wikipedia corner.
Ding ding ding.
So let me take a sip of my tea here.
Yeah, please.
Kermit the Frog Moo.
Okay. Word. Oh, Kermit. I didn't realize.
Kermit the Frog meme? Anyway, all right. So you're when you first meet the cultists, you are introduced to the fact that they worship someone named Zurvan. So let's talk about Zurvan.
Zurvanite Zoroastrianism.
Zurvan is a deity in Zoroastrian myth. That's true. If you didn't know, Zoroastrianism was a major religion through the first millennium that is now essentially extinct, having been supplanted by Islam sort of geographically. The worship of Zurvan as like a primary deity is outside of the mainstream of Zoroastrianism. So this is sort of a sect. How big the sect was is not super clear, but it's interesting because Zurvan in the mainstream is usually regarded as an antagonist. But in this formulation, he is the primary creator deity, and then he has two children, essentially. The sort of destructive and creative spirit, the positive and negative type of thing. The destructive one of which is Ahriman, who is also known as Angramenyu, and he's going to come up a bunch.
We meet him.
We fight him, in fact. Ahriman also has a place in Islam. This appears to be like a little controversial, but through some sources, he is seen as a sort of devil figure who lives in hell. And this is interesting because right at the beginning of the game, there's a section where you find the first beans, which are inscribed with little pictures of a devil. Mate says that these are the fruit of the Zakum tree. And the Zakum tree grows in hell in Islamic tradition. The Quran 44, 43, 46 quotes, 43-46 quote says, quote, "Indeed, the tree of Zakum is food for the sinful. Like murky oil, it boils within bellies like the boiling of scalding water." And then in 37:62-65, it says, "Is paradise a better accommodation or the tree of Zakum? Indeed, we have made it a torment for the wrongdoers. Indeed, it is a tree issuing from the bottom of the hellfire, its emerging fruit as if it was heads of devils." And these heads of devils on the fruit are what we see at the beginning. And this is how Mate recognizes that it's the fruit of the Zakum tree. Ahriman being the devil figure who lives in hell with the fruit, it all comes together. It's interesting to me. I thought it was really interesting that Mate recognized this immediately because he is a Catholic priest. So this means he's read the Quran and he remembers this line or these lines specifically. Mm-hmm. And then it makes a lot of sense that he's terrified. Like when this happens in the game, he gets really, really scared. And Pavol is like, what are you what are you freaking out about? Like, it's weird, but like, whatever. But this is like, to Mate, a literal manifestation of the devil. So it's really scary. This fruit is supposed to be fed to sinners and non-believers as punishment. I did also, when I was like pulling this quote for the Quran, there's commentary on this, just like from that website, by this guy, Ala Maududi, who is a very influential modern Islamic scholar. And his commentary on this reads, "No one should have the misunderstanding that since no one has seen the head of Satan, it was no use likening the buds of the zakum to it. This is, in fact, an imaginative kind of simile and is employed in the literature of every language. For example, in order to give the idea of a rare beauty of a woman, it is said she is a fairy, right, etc." So I thought it was interesting that, like, in this game, it is the literal image of the devil, and then the commentary on this is like, well, no, it's not the literal image of the devil. Okay, and then, so this is who they're worshipping, the cultists. They're worshipping Zervan, and then Marek, who is leading them, has a connection to Ahriman specifically, who he wants power from. Destructive or devil figure. And Root tells us at the end of the game that Marek hasn't a connection to Armenia, which is where this cult is maybe a little, has negative connotations, but like where this sect of religion comes from. And Root says that he heard about it through a man called Ibn al-Khayyam, I think. And this is a historical figure, Omar Khayyam, who was an astronomer and a mathematician, who is alleged to be a Zoroastrian, but probably was not in reality. Also, this guy lived 400 years before our story.
Oh.
So I don't know if that... I'm pretty confident that this is the guy. It's the only result for this name that I could find, and also he has this like Zoroastrian allegation around him. I might be wrong about that, but I don't know if this is... I don't know what that's supposed to say, or if it's just a mistake, or if it's like doesn't really matter that much. Root also tells us that Omar Khayyam has sent Marek secret verses in a mystical magic lamp in which Ahriman was imprisoned after he was defeated by Faramars. And Faramars is a figure from Iranian myth who defeated Ahriman. I couldn't find anything about sealing him in a lamp. That seems like a totally different story, but I don't know. So that's my Wikipedia corner for Zervanism. And Ahriman.
I have more to say about Ahriman, actually.
Wow. Tell me about
this
it.
Is probably the biggest Wikipedia dive that I did. In Zervanite Zoroastrianism, according to the Wikipedia page that I looked at yesterday, Ahriman is an embodiment of evil in contrast to Ahriman's twin, Ormuzd, which is an embodiment of good. The story is that, or my understanding of the story, is that Zervan, their parent, which is sort of a androgynous figure, so says the Wikipedia article, resolved to give the firstborn between Ormuzd and Ahriman sovereignty over creation. And so the myth is that Ahriman clawed its way out of the womb in order to have sovereignty before Ormuzd, before the embodiment of good. Ahriman is interchangeable with Angramanyu, who is also brought up here. It seems to be interchangeable. I didn't understand when I was playing the game at first that Ahriman and Angramanyu were the same person, or were the same entity.
Yeah, I had the same confusion.
Until like pretty late in the game, where Marek sort of inherits the power of Angramanyu and gets the same like glowing white head that Ahriman has when we see him earlier. That was only then when I was like, oh, Ahriman and Angramanyu are the same person. They're just spoken with different names sometimes. So I just thought that was an interesting thing specifically. I want to talk about the fight against Ahriman, this like evil spirit. Ahriman, the character in this game, seems to have a really specific and strange ideology for a strange little devil, which I think is nice. They have a monologue here that they say to Pavol before the fight, because Pavol asks them to surrender and leave them in peace. And Ahriman says, and I quote, "I cannot return to the place of my origins. Pavol, release me from this plight, and I shall spare thy life. I discern in thee a fervent disdain for the Turks, burning deep within thy soul. Show me the path, and I shall embark upon a quest to lay waste to their lands, reducing them to naught but ash. I am not malevolent, as thou well knowst. Devastation is but a necessary step toward the dawn of a new creation. As adolescence doth consume a part of the child within, shrouded in unspeakable agony, so must backward nations be sacrificed upon the altar of progress. And progress, as thou dost well know, is embodied in the Austro-Hungarian monarchy. I sow the flames, preparing the soil for the emergence of the new, much like a plow doth uproot the weeds. This is such a fun monologue. I thought this was very good. I love this weird image of this almost godlike deity with a bright burning light for a head, who is taken as a great religious evil, and all it seems to care about is historical progress. It doesn't even seem to really care about the cult. When you find him, in fact, he's killed tons of cult members, who was up until recently simply in their thrall. And Pavol says something like, "Can you quit sewing and leave us in peace?" And that's when the fight begins. And when you kill him, the light in his head goes out.
Yeah, I read this as like Ahriman's attempt to win over Pavol, and then he is using like Pavel's prejudices in order to try and to convince him, which don't succeed. Like my read on it was more like, I don't think Ahriman really cares one way or another about progress. It's more like this is the path to being freed from his shackles. And like through this game, it's kind of clear that Ahriman is under the shackles of whoever is controlling him. Like he very briefly before this fights on our side because Paula is able to command him briefly against Marek, and then Marek like regains control. Yeah, so it's really interesting. It's like,
I guess I shouldn't take what the devil says at face value as his actual beliefs, but I do like that monologue. I think either way it's really cool. Great.
I think more broadly, like the end of this game is a big change. I think like throughout we are seeing like a lot of we increasingly see cultists who are transformed into various monsters, mutations. And then we sort of learn about Marek pretty late, and that his goal is to attain immortality by absorbing Ahriman, defeating him, shackling him, something along those lines.
Becoming one with him, sort of.
Exactly.
Or at least absorbing his power.
Yeah. Yeah, he says when he absorbs his power, quote, "Angra Menu within me sees everything, reads all as if through glass. I understand everything." He calls himself an immortal demon. And this is like this sort of turn is like very Dark Souls, very Fear and Hunger. And I don't think it works very well. The focus of the game pretty quickly becomes like, okay, our antagonist is a guy who is mad with desire for immortality and power. He is like seeking out these religious figures, mythological figures come to life, bringing them into the real world, and then like using their power. And I did not really feel like those themes were what the game was about through the first 2/3. It felt like a pretty radical thematic shift, and one that does not deliver in a very strong way. Like I didn't find
it definitely is. It's also the most JRPG thing about the game, because this is like an extremely JRPG thing where it's like, oh, we have this story that is very, materially focused for first like huge chunk of the game, and then in the third act we introduce a great metaphysical threat that is going to destroy all humanity. And what do you know, our antagonist just so happens to want to become immortal through its power. This is like, it's like classic JRPG stuff, which I think is bad. I think it's not used in a way that is like very good here, and sometimes it's not used very good in like a lot of other stuff too. I'm sure in the future of this show we will have more to say about this,
Yeah. That's funny. I didn't realize that, but you're absolutely right. Like it is doing the same. It is still doing the Dragon Quest Final Fantasy thing. Like and I think the immediate thing that I compared it to was like Dark Souls and Fear and Hunger, because like it feels more kind of tonally similar to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think this game is more tonally interested in the place that those two games end up in.
Yeah. But I also think those two games are a lot more successful because like they are kind of from the beginning about those themes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed. I felt like there's a lot of cool visuals. You end up in this place called the Meat Keep, which is like this human who has like transformed into a space through the power of devils.
They like go into a version of hell.
Yeah.
It looks like have you seen a game called Hylix?
I have, yeah. I was looking at this.
So this game is kind of similar, and I think that Felvidek was pretty inspired by Hylix. I'm going to send you a picture. Okay. But Hylix also, it does the same thing that Felvidek does. It's also an RPG Maker game. It does the first person battle animations that Felvidek does. And I think explicitly in this like last section, the images that we have of the Meat Keep here, it's very like stringy and like intestinal almost.
Yeah.
And a lot of Hylix is similar to that. There's a lot of like tubes and fleshy intestinal environments and enemies and stuff like that in Hylix. I do think that Hylix was a pretty big inspiration for Felvidek.
Yeah, I have not played it.
Yeah, I don't think that this twist that we have near in the third act with Ahriman and Merrick is very good. What it is successful at is setting up a pretty funny joke with Pavol right before the fight with Merrick, where Merrick has this mini speech about how he's immortal now and it's already too late. And Pavol says, "Immortal, we can still trash and beat ye, can we not?" And then it starts the fight, and sure enough, you can still trash and beat him. I think that's pretty funny.
That is funny. There's also this scene before kind of you go into the final dungeon where Pavol has a dream.
Oh yes, we should talk about that. This is like this is after he was stabbed by Paula.
Yes, you're right. This is right after he's stabbed by Paula. There's a cutscene of Pavol waking up and having a horrible nightmare of a dancing red beast, this devil. And then a being of light appears and slays the devil and leaves a flaming sword on the ground. And then Adam appears for the first time. Pavol gets the holy sword, which is on the ground. It's a real thing. And it says, it burns with righteous flames. With it, we may enter the kingdom of heaven. That's the item description. And then Pavol has this very human moment outside. Like he seems very moved. He says he likes the wind. And then Adam asks if he's okay. And Pavol says, "No, Mate is likely dead. Mayhaps he hath found peace in the heavens. I do believe so after yesterday." And then Adam asks about the sword, and Pavol says, quote, "An angel hath bestowed it to me. The angel told me, with fire I shall rise into the heavens. He opened his mouth, but his voice sounded as if 100 birds were chirping at once, but ever so softly. And there was peace and love. My tears fell like rain." Pavol has had this like religious experience with an angel. And he has been given,
and he actually does physically have a holy sword, a holy flaming sword
in the real world. Yeah, so it's like the Christian God is real. He has given Pavol this sword of righteous flames to enter the kingdom of heaven, which I just think is like a really interesting. I think this would read very differently in like a game that was all fantasy, right? Like a Dark Souls where it's like, oh, the god has given you the sword of righteousness. Like, okay, yeah, we get it. But this is a game about like they talk about the Christian God and Jesus Christ, and it's set in a real place in a real time. And it is like affirming the real existence of God and angels and the kingdom of heaven. And then like this figure from Zoroastrian myth appears in the world we live in. I think that's interesting to be like, all of this is true and real. And Pavol is very moved. Like he's a Christian at the end of the day. Like he has been visited by an angel. Like it's very powerful.
He also, after you defeat Ahriman, he also drops a cursed sword, which is also flaming with like a purple flame. Did you ever equip this? Because I did not.
No, I don't think you can. Able to. I think it says like,
because Mate says you shouldn't use it because it's cursed.
I think I did try.
Pavol, when he first sees it, he's like, 2 flaming swords. This is awesome.
Yeah, they use it to power the umbrella instead.
They're
like, yeah, we can use the
hot air balloon.
Evil sword to power the umbrella. The hot air balloon.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
You know what I meant. The big umbrella.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more That's like a great like punchline to the hot air balloon setup, is that they get a cursed sword from like a deity from a Zoroastrian faith, and they use it to generate enough heat to lift the hot air balloon into the air. It's funny.
Yeah.
What did you get for your like slides at the ending? I'm curious if you got anything different than me, because I know there's several.
Okay, let's see. Mate goes back to Debrecen. Adam stays for a year, rules the castle, and then returns to Košice and gives it over to Dusi, who becomes the lord, I guess. Their burgomaster and Valer use their contacts in Ethiopia to distribute kahwe. Quote, Felvidek flourished. After years, Felvidek was spoken as the most sober land far and wide. And I got the little thing about Ida being... Little is known about the fate of the rogue Ida. However, gossip lingered in the taverns for a long time. Anyone who had joined the cult of Zervan, Ida would find them and see them dead. And the one you talked about earlier, Paula returns to fight the Ottomans. And then there's a cutscene of the balloon flying.
Yeah, okay. So we got the same slides.
Okay, cool.
I know that there are several others relating to a couple of like side quests that can do, especially the one that I was talking about earlier, the side quest specifically that I didn't want. It has its own slide if the woman in that side quest survives, which apparently she can die and or survive.
I have to assume
she has
died.
her own slide.
I did not save her.
She's probably dead in both of our runs. I imagine because we didn't find her, she ended up killing herself in the river or whatever. But that's Felvidek. That's the whole damn thing. What a video game it was.
What a video game. So I think like overall, there are parts of this game that I really enjoyed. I think like tonally is really interesting, really great. It's doing something super interesting with history. There are a lot of parts of it that are really enjoyable, but also like I think some pretty critical failures. Yeah. I think like the narrative turn at the end is not successful. And I think its treatment of women and Jewish people especially is kind of whack.
My favorite parts about this are the like characters being sort of fun vehicles for jokes, pretty much. They're not a lot of the characters are particularly three-dimensional, but I do like them because a lot of them, or several of them, make me laugh.
Yeah. I think like Pavol and Mate are funny people, like genuinely. I think they get both.
The game generally has a good sense of humor for the most part.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we said, there's a lot of critical failures, but there's a lot to like if you're looking to, if you're thinking this game will make you laugh. And the art style and the music is just delicious. Yeah. It's so dope.
It's really cool.
It's really out there, and like I said at the beginning, I think this really is a sort of aesthetic project, and a game that came from an aesthetic desire rather than necessarily a narrative one. I know that in an interview I had seen, and I'll see if I can find this for the show notes or not, but in an interview I had seen a while ago, I remember that Jozef, who made the game, an RPG maker, had spoken about how Vlado Ganaj, the writer on this game, had done most of the narrative work, how he like wanted a more realistic plot and stuff like that, and that's where a lot of this sort of stuff comes from. So I think that this game sort of does come from like I said, an aesthetic desire, which I respect about it.
Yeah, I think I read
this guy had some images he really wanted to make.
Yeah,
he really liked some images.
I read in an interview that he was an illustrator first, and this is like his game project while he was primarily an illustrator. And like you can tell, for better and for worse. And
you know what? Some real good images here. Some pretty fun pictures that you've made.
Yeah.
My last thought, there's a gatekeeper that you can say something mean to, and he'll respond in a sad face. And I like that guy a lot. It's the only dialogue in the entire game that is using like a straight up emoticon, like sad face, colon, beginning parenthesis.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It made me laugh.
Yeah.
So I like that guy. I like the gatekeeper.
Yeah. What are we doing next, Kerry? What's next on the docket?
Next time on Leaving the Party, the next episode of Leaving the Party, which you can find at leavingtheparty.blog/podcast, and you will certainly be able to find it by the end of this week.
I better be.
By the time this episode comes up, it will very much be a page that you can go to. But as of the recording of this episode, maybe not. But the next episode, the next game that we're doing on Leaving the Party, we are playing Chained Echoes. Chained Echoes is a sort of indie RPG from 2022 developed by Matthias Linda. I'm pretty deep into it. You're still at the beginning-ish from what I understand, but I'm almost in Act 3, I believe. It is really a treat for me specifically.
Yeah.
It's
sort of a
I'm very
Kerry-like,
excited.
I would say.
This is a Kerry game for sure.
Yeah.
This one is a Kerry choice.
Yeah.
So I'm real stoked to talk about this next time. Yeah, it's gonna be, this one's a long one, you know? It's none of this like 6-hour, 7-hour game length. No, this is gonna take a minute.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I think so far we're shooting about 1-for-1 for game length to podcast length. So I assume our next podcast episode is going to be 40-something hours.
Yeah, expect the next episode to be 40 to 50 hours, probably.
That's not true. That's not true.
It's not
unless, well, only one way to find out.
Cool. Any recommendations before we go? Anything to recommend? This is our new segment.
This is the recommendation
where we recommend
segment.
Things.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ring the bell.
I want to recommend Pad Thai. I've been eating a lot of Pad Thai recently. Actually, you know what? You know what food I really want to recommend is barley slop. So this is like my main meal prep food, and I call it barley slop. And here's how you make it. It's like sausage, like delicious sausage. They sell this Argentinian sausage in grocery stores here in Brooklyn. I don't remember the brand, but it's delicious. And I chop it up and I put the little rounds in a pan and I cook them up with garlic, and it's called better than what's that, like concentrated soup? Like the little cubes of like concentrated soup cubes. Anyway, it's like concentrated soup, and you put it in with like some olive oil and herbs and spices and garlic, and you toast it all up in there, and then you put some black beans in, and then you put like maybe like a cup or two of barley in, and you all just like simmer everything together, and it's like this delicious, salty, rich barley with sausage and carrots as well. I put carrots in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's like
good.
It's delicious. It's
Did you
super
say barley
fiber.
slop? Is that what you called
Yeah,
it?
I call it barley slop. It's really good. It's delicious.
Cool.
And it's really good for meal prep because it freezes well. So that's what I've been eating a lot of.
Cool. I recommend drinking 4 to 5 cups of tea.
Oh, that's a good one.
I recommend knowing how to set up a Retroid Pocket too.
Yeah.
And doing it for me, so I don't have to do it.
No recipes?
No, I mean, you can go on Reddit and find some instructions for the Retroid Pocket thing, but it's kind of complicated.
Seems really
just
hard.
make sure that you install RetroArch in the Google Play Store and stuff, because it's kind of difficult. If you do not uninstall the Google Play Store.
Oh, that's tough.
Do not, under any circumstance, because you can't, it's not easy to get back. So don't uninstall the Google Play Store.
Can I tell you something? I have one of these devices. I've set it up. I still don't know what RetroArch is. I know it's software.
It sure is software.
I know you need it. What it does exactly is unclear to me. Because it's not an emulator, because you also need emulators. But it's not like an operating system, because you already have like the Android. So I don't know what it is.
It's hard to say.
I don't
exactly.
know what it
I don't
is.
think anyone knows.
Scientists have yet to agree.
Scientists, historians, we've all yet to figure out what RetroArch is.
I would say that's about the level of nerd that I am, is that I know what RetroArch is. I know that it exists, but what it is, don't know.
Well, this is great. This is so fun.
Thanks back for next month. Here is talking about Chained Echoes. Play the game.
I'll have a lot to say.
Carrie's gonna have a lot to say. I'll be honest with you, I'll probably have less to say, but I will be saying a lot of like, yeah, this is awesome.
Oh yeah, totally, bro.
This rocks.
Well, I'll have a lot to say.
Nothing I love more than listening to my friend Kerry.
Exactly. Me too. You know what? I'm editing this podcast, so I'm going to be hearing a lot of my friend Kerry.
Yeah. I want to make one more recommendation.
Oh, okay.
I want to make one more recommendation for the game Poco. You can play it for free on Steam.
This is the clown game, right?
This is the game where you play as a little clown as a point-and-click adventure. It's awesome. It's takes like an hour.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it's so
That's
good.
great. Tight, even shorter than a tight 90.
Yeah,
love that.
That's my last recommendation. And now you can do the outro.
Thanks for listening to Leaving the Party. Leaving the Party is everyone's favorite transgender pod. Fuck, I can't do it, bro.
Fuck.
Thanks for listening to Leaving the Party. Leaving the Party is everyone's favorite transgender podcast blog, and you can read or listen to more of this by going to leavingtheparty.blog. Leaving the Party is produced by yours truly, Kerry Lloyd, and the Leaving the Party podcast art was illustrated by the lovely Tess Shilapoti. Thanks again, and remember, it's Be Yourself Friday. Don't forget to be yourself today.
Don't forget.
That's because it's Monday, but it'll come out on a Friday. So.
I see. I intuited that.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.